The themes in Mario Kart are very interesting. One second you'll be at a just normal beach, and the next Waluigi pinball. But which one of these themes had the best amount of track? We'll be going through 17 of these, starting with their basic circuits to all the way to the Rainbow Road, and everything in between. Also got a group of 26 people, including myself, so that's 27, to also rank these, and we're going to make it into one big giant tier list. Now, when it comes to this video, I don't just want to talk about the tracks themselves and how they play, but I also want to talk about how the themes are represented. So that'll also be a big focus. And without further ado, let's get into the last place spot. There is no D or F tier, so it's starting at C tier. In last place, we have the beach tracks. You know, when doing this, I genuinely thought that the circuit tracks were going to be placed at the bottom spot. However, when you look at the track selection here, it's not particularly that strong. We have Koopa Beach 1 and 2 from Super Mario Kart, Koopa Troopa Beach from N64, Shy Guy Beach and Cheep Cheep Island from Super Circuit, Peach Beach from Double S, and Cheep Cheep Beach from DS. So something you might notice right away is that 4 of 7 of these are Mushroom Cup tracks, and the other 3 aren't particularly stepping it up in the difficulty even though they're placed later. I'm not here to say that being a Mushroom Cup track means automatically bad, but for such a reoccurring theme, it's quite a bit of a shame we don't get anything more interesting or difficult beyond that point in their games. Not even just layout wise, but theme wise as well. And it's crazy because the beach is typically one of my favorite places to go. Living in New York City, there's constant tall buildings, traffic, and people moving around every day. And listen, the hustle and the bustle of the city is great, but going to the beach, especially on days where it's not crowded, tends to be just a little nice escape from it all. Even though the train times can be fucking horrendous, and the sand can get annoying to wash off, it is worth the trip. Cooling off in the ocean, getting highly overpriced food like it's Summertown and on that, and just having fun and letting yourself relax. That's if you go to Rockaway Beach, that is, because Coney Island Beach, going there might give you an unknown disease that hasn't even been discovered yet. Anyways, I mentioned this because beach themes in video games tend to give you that same energy. For example, the Seaside Kingdom in Odyssey, when all is said and done after you defeat, I'm not even going to pronounce that octopus as an enemy's name, but it's on the screen here. It changes to a new setting from the typical daytime to a more relaxing, beautiful dusk time. Combined with relaxing music, this really immerses you into that typical beach setting, which always feels like a calm before the big storm, which fits with this kingdom because, you know, it's the kingdom right before some of the hardest kingdoms like Luncheon and Bowser's. And I mean, beaches aren't always typically relaxing too. They can be very crowded, kind of noisy and loud, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing either. You know, it might be like some sort of party, or you might go with your friends and just socialize, play volleyball, you know, all that stuff. Either way, it's gonna always be a place with just good vibes. But this is where Mario Kart kind of disappoints with the theme. Pretty much all these courses kind of share very similar visuals and themes without doing anything drastic. It wasn't until Mario Kart World where they decided to switch things up a bit with its 2 retro beach tracks. For Mario Kart World, it was, oh, here's a beach, here's some ocean, here's some crabs, and I'm like, bro, holy unoriginal. I guess if we were to go track by track, we could start with the SNES Koopa Beach tracks. Koopa Beach 1 is aggressively a circle with not much happening. Star Cup track, by the way. Koopa Beach 2 before its remake in World is a solid step up from 1. It has you interacting with a few more things, but like this god-awful looking off-road and these holes in the water you can fall into. The setting is still pretty generic, but the SNES courses, since it's the first game, they kind of had to do basic themings, and they did off Mario World, so I'm not gonna not get too many points for that. And either way, they did bring this back in Mario Kart World as Koopa Troopa Beach, and they fixed it up immensely. I am a big fan of what they did to this track in World. Long gone is the generic beach setting we've seen a bunch of times, and this remake gives us a fresh yet fun new idea on it. A Koopa festival is happening, and this is good because, as I mentioned earlier, a good beach trip doesn't always have to be just more relaxing. Everyone should have a good time, some fun in the sun, especially when you go to the beach with friends or family. It looks like everyone here is getting lit off that good cushion alcohol. This has also helped with the remix music, which a lot of people in my friend circle love to hate on, and I don't really understand why. It perfectly matches the new theme the track is going for while still sounding really good and, you know, vibey, I guess. I mean, I know the Koopa Beach SNES theme isn't anything that mind-blowing, but for what they were working with, I think they did a really great job here. Now, the track itself, not really that great. I like it more than most. It does serve a good purpose to showcase the chaotic nature of 24 players, and I mean, it has an active hazard. It's not a good active hazard, but it's better than what most tracks are doing with their hazards, so. But overall, I wouldn't give it higher than a B-. Like, it's fun for what it is, but at the end of the day, it's still just a small circle, I don't know. In a game where so many tracks do so many interesting things. The GBA beach track, Shy Guy Beach and Cheep Cheep Island, kinda just whatever. Settings are definitely more unique with Shy Guy Bites, holy shit. Shy Guy Beach surrounding itself around Captain Jack Sparrow and Boom Beach, and I'm like, hey, that's pretty nice. Like, I hate my life, but like, it's not really getting me hyped, especially with how it was probably one of the worst looking courses in Wii in general, probably maybe even the worst looking one of them all. And the gameplay itself, I mean, just another one of the mushroom cut beach courses. The cannonballs in Wii, I'm actually a pretty big fan of because the blast radius is so huge. So with 12 players, I feel like some really good and funny moments can happen. And you kind of mix that with the crabs. You have two hazards working together to make the course a lot more challenging than what it normally be. And considering this is in the banana cup and not the shell cup like it would have been due to its mushroom cup status, I think this is a nice way to kind of spice up the track a little bit. However, when it comes to the jumps on this track and the island hopping, way better than the original. As for Cheep Cheep Island, it definitely looks way nicer than Shy Guy Beach. Fortunately, the track is kind of just You guys like bridges? I mean, it's got like 6 bridges in it. Anyway, Cheep Cheep Beach, pretty pathetic course in my opinion. This is the 7th beach track and it's still the same aesthetic we've seen up to until that point. And now it has a little jungle area. Wowee, so cool. I mean, is it kind of cool set piece wise? Sure, but they don't really do anything with it. And the track itself, I'm gonna be honest, genuinely so boring. Like, in DS, it's cool how you like compete with the tide to take the most inner path, but like, no way are we really hyping it up over that. Fuck this track, bro. And then we have Peach Beach and Koopa Beach 64. I'll discuss Peach Beach first. Something I really like about Peach Beach is that in the original and the Wii remakes, you could see a little town resort area in the background. It was more or less a reference to Delfino Isle, but I still think it was a neat touch to add, especially with the cruise ships and the dick rock. This is probably what Isaiah thinks of himself, but in reality, it looks like Mr. Krabs' foot. Anyway, I like the continuity this track has in World, where the resort town area open and more fully fleshed out with markets and shops and buildings and even a little jet skiing area. It's a very cool expansion in terms of theming and world building, because when it comes to a gameplay, it's a crash and burn theme. You see, the original was typical mushroom cut track, but it had a nice gimmick of the tide and the catapacts working together to make the drivable areas way more narrow and tougher if the cycles aren't in your favor. And these catapacts used to chase you down too. Like, them motherfuckers would not stop until they got your ass. And again, I thought it was just a cool way of using hazards but still making the track fairly easy because it's still a beginner track. Like, you gotta remember, it was still the second track in the Mushroom Cup of Double Dash, and it was the first track to kickstart the retros and Wii. So you can't really get to the crazy stuff yet. And I think this does a way better job of being an interesting Mushroom Cup track than the other simple beach courses because of this. Would I give it higher than a B+? Probably not, but that's still really good for a very early game track. And when it came back to World, I was really happy to see again. But oh, sweet summer child Ryan, you had no idea what you were getting yourself into. They fumbled this track incredibly hard. Now, they turned Peach Beach into a section track, which is really awesome on paper. I mean, it's the second time it's returning, so why not switch up the formula? The first lap is your standard Peach Beach without anything that made the OG Peach Beach good. There are like 2 catapacts now. There's no more ties, so you're kind of just driving straight. How thrilling. Oh, wow, I love it. Like, I know water was never going to act the same because of how water driving works in modern Mario Kart, but why did you remove like all of the catapacts? There used to be like, what, 6 or 7? Now there's only 2? Nobody is getting hit by them. If the other 2 laps are good, then I'd be forgiving. And luckily, lap 2 is the best part of the track, as you get to hop on the side of the buildings. There's a bunch of cool little paths to take. It's a real shame that none of these are faster than just going down the middle, but it's still kind of cool. A real shame this is the shortest lap of the whole course, because the final lap, I mean, do I need to explain why the final lap is shit on this course? It's 2 long straights on water that leads into a long straight to the finish line. There's no real shortcuts, no real hazards, no waves to even constantly trick off, just nothing besides a few ramps. In my head, this could have served as a really cool like jet skiing competition area. You could have had big multiple ways, a ton more Shy Guys of jet skis, adding a few more ramps. And not only would I think the gameplay here would actually be engaging, but it would perfectly fit the theme and the trilogy of this resort. Think about it. Lap 1, the beach. Lap 2 is the resort and town itself. And lap 3 could have been focused on jet skis and the other fun activities to do on a vacation. Really tying everything here nicely. Instead, they just forgot to finish the course. So what you're left with is a neutered lap 1, a fun but over before it begins lap 2, and a terrible lap 3. Honestly, if this isn't in your bottom 5 courses in Mario Kart World, I'd be happy to know what you're smoking. And the thing is, I wouldn't even prefer a one-to-one remake with the original. I would rather them just update it, especially the third lap, to make it more enjoyable. Because I think they have the right ideas, but the execution was just not there. Anyway, last track to cover is Koopa Beach from 64. I have nothing but praise to give this one, to be honest. I've always really liked this track from when I first played it in Mario Kart 7. It doesn't do anything crazy theme-wise, but of all the standard beach courses, this easily has the best vibes to it. A lot of that is thanks to the excellent music. This is honestly one of my favorite musics in the whole entire series. But in general, there's something so calming about this track compared to the other generic beach ones. Like, is it the giant Koopa rock? I'm not really too sure. The gameplay, in my opinion, is also great. It's got a lot of fun turns and open sections, perfect for Mario Kart 64's controls. And in general, it feels pretty fast-paced. But what is this course known for? It's the big shortcut, of course. This is one of my favorite shortcuts in, both appearances, to be honest. In 64, you have the time to jump on these ramps to get into the shortcut, whereas in 7, you have to use the mushroom to hop over the ocean to hit the glide ramp into the shortcut. Both kind of come with their own heavy risks, as in 64, hitting the wall will punish you. And in 7, even though it's easier to line yourself, you have the chance of easily getting bumped or even overshooting it in some cases. And you're kind of left in a little bit of an awkward position. Mario Kart, at least in the modern day, doesn't typically have these big shortcuts anymore. And that's understandable, but I think this is one where it's done super well in both instances. And if the course were to return again someday, I want to see the shortcut come with it. Yeah, overall, very fun track. Easily my favorite of the bunch. To wrap up the beach courses, it's actually not super hard to see why this ranked dead last. The theme itself, as much as I love beaches, can't really say a whole lot has been done with it. Granted, it doesn't help that we haven't gotten a new beach track since fucking 2005, so I feel like the series is due for a fresh new take on it, because while Peach Beach and Koopa Beach 2 and World are massive steps up in terms of theme quality, there's only so much you can do with 1, their actual layouts, and 2, expanding on their themes without really pushing too far away from their original material. We need more shakeups in the theme. Also, in general, the track pool here is really lackluster. Koopa Beach 1, Cheep Cheep Beach, Shy Guy Beach, Cheep Cheep Island are kind of just mid to lame tracks. Koopa Beach 2 is solid enough, but as I said, it's B- at best. Peach Beach was good in its original and Wii remake, but shit in World. And then you're left with Koopa Troopa Beach 64. And I love the course so much, don't get me wrong, but it is definitely not enough to carry such a mediocre selection. So yeah, between the tracks being kind of bad and the theme never going the extra mile compared to literally most of the other things on this list, that's probably why it ranks here in dead last. The only positive it has here is that musically, it's a very strong selection because beach music is always going to slap. Outside of Cheep Cheep Beach, lol. Anyway, it's time to look at what you guys put. Most of you said Peach Beach was your favorite, which I assume we're talking about the original. I would hope you're talking about the original. I will say curb moving Mayven chance, you guys have unreal ball knowledge that nobody else will understand. And then there's Jack, which, if you even crack a smile, you go to Asmongold's Attic. Koopa Beach 1? Are we dead ass? And then as for the overall ranks, a lot of people are in that D tier range. A few A's and B's, which save it from being down there in the D tier overall. I don't know what Blonde, that's kind of embarrassing, if I'm gonna be honest. That's a crazy S tier. I'm done talking about beaches. Let's move on. Now we have the circuit tracks. Come on guys, it wasn't going to be that high on the list. In this category, we have all 4 of the Super Mario Kart Mario circuit tracks, Luigi Mario and Royal Raceway from 64, Peach Mario and Luigi Circuit from Super Circuit, Luigi Mario and Yoshi Circuit from Double Dash, Figure 8 and Mario Circuit from DS, Luigi Mario and Daisy Circuit from Wii, Toad and Mario Circuit from 7, 8's Mario Circuit, and Mario Bros. Circuit from World. Fucking Mario's name was said so much that you think it's like Kane winning every award at the Digital Circus. Circuit tracks, are circuit tracks, I mean, I don't really have a whole lot to say. But there's one track I'll give credit for doing something super unique. It's Mario Bros. Circuit. Solely for not only being a great beginner track to learn rail grinding and wall riding for World's mechanics, but for also having a setting that perfectly sets the tone in the place of Mario Kart World. Being in the canyon with a truck stop that has a diner is something we haven't seen the cookie cutter starting tracks do, but it's just really cool to switch it up. And it fits perfectly with the gimmick of Mario Kart World because this is most likely the first track you will experience. And that kind of sense of traveling the entire world or getting to your destination through a car after a quick stop at the highway diner is really charming. And the music is also great as well. A few other circuit tracks I enjoy are Royal Raceway. The 3 GameCube circuit tracks are pretty solid. The DS Mario Circuit and 8 specifically is probably my favorite circuit track just because of how batshit insane. It can become in the forest area. There's just a whole ton of stinkers as well. All the Super Mario Kart Mario circuits can low genuinely get their files removed, and I wouldn't be complaining. Mario Circuit GBA is a snore fest in both games it appears in. Both the Wii circuits, Mario and Luigi circuit, are pretty shit. 8's Mario circuit is like if they forgot to design a fun racetrack when working on the spectacle of anti-gravity. And then there's Figure 8 circuit, which is just really pathetic. I know it's a beginner course, but like, come on, man, do something. The fan favorite circuit track here is Yoshi Circuit, which I expected. DS Mario and Daisy Circuit coming right behind it. Some of y'all trying way too hard though, like Jack with GBA Mario Circuit, and then I got 2 people with Wii Mario Circuit. Who are y'all fooling? Lying is not cool. And in terms of the overall ranks, most people hover around the B or C range as expected, which I mean, it's just fucking circuits. So yeah, of course it's gonna be B and C. Anyway, moving on. Up next in the C tier are the jungle courses. In this category we have DK Jungle Parkway from 64, Riverside Park and Lakeside Park from Super Circuit, Dino Jungle from Double Dash, Yoshi Falls from DS, and DK Jungle from 7. If you ask me, it's not particularly hard to see why this category ranks as low as it did. Jungles in general are just kind of boring to me. Take out all the whimsy and magic of what makes forests and wooded areas so special, and then you kind of just add nothing to make it distinctive from those forests. And there's a lot of cool jungle things they've done in the Mario series, like the new Super Mario games. They usually kick off the later half of the game, and even though the aesthetic doesn't win me over, they have a lot of fun gimmicks, you know, rolling logs that you have to balance on, or like Raptor Dory rides, you know what I'm saying? And like even the Mario Odyssey's Lost Kingdom resembles a jungly area that feels very different from its Wood Kingdom. Actually one of my low-key favorite kingdoms from Odyssey in general. It's just remote and quiet. You know, it feels like when it comes to jungle levels, we don't really get that sort of scenery. When it comes to Mario Kart, however, I can't really say the jungle courses impressed me. There is a course in this category I hate so much it actually inspired me to do this video, and that is DK Jungle. I loathe DK Jungle so fucking much. I'm a big fan of Donkey Kong Country Returns. One of the main reasons for is not just because the game was goated with the sauce gameplay mechanics wise, but just how cool a lot of the level themes and designs were. For example, you take your average Joe beach level, make it into a stormy shore, a level where you have to constantly maneuver around a giant octopus jumping from platform to platform, and as the level goes on, the stormy weather occurs. It makes it even more challenging due to the water shifting and tides making the platforms wobbly. Same could be applied to Tidal Terror, where these giant waves will come at you and you have to hide behind these walls. You of course have the iconic minecart levels that are always fun. Prehistoric Path is all about fossils on Cliffside and Skull-Rex's enemies. The factory levels in Gear Getaway, I mean, come on, get down from their Fear Factory. Like, you have so many fire ideas to make the perfect homage track to DKCR. What do they do? 1-1. Oh brother, this guy stink. Who at Nintendo thought DK needed yet another jungle course, my brother? We've had 2 technically before this, and they decided, yeah, we need a 3rd one. Look, I get it. DK is associated with jungles and everything. And I'm not saying they're wrong in using this as a location, but for the whole entire track is really lame. DK Jungle could have easily been a section track where you start through the jungle, head to the beach areas, through the minecarts, hit the cliffs or the factories, and then end off in the Golden Temple. And this would have been a way better homage to DK Country Returns, and considering Mario Kart 7 was the game that introduced section-based courses, I just find it a big missed opportunity. I know it's been weird to have 2 section courses in the final cup of the game, and I definitely get that. Me personally, I would have just cut one of the Woohoo courses since we didn't really need both of them. But if that option was on the table, then I could say you could still fit this in a normal 3-lap track. Just, you know, make it a shorter, obviously, but the point would still get across. So yeah, as a track based on DKCR, it fails, and even as a Mario Kart based DK track, it's a 3rd jungle track under DK's name. So like, it felt like, you know what, like, I don't like it theme or visually because jungles bore me. Like, don't even get me started on the Banana Temple. They only put it there so you can point on the screen and go reference city, population me. Now you might be thinking, well, don't you value gameplay more than visuals? The gameplay is also shit to me too. Keep in mind, in Mario Kart 7 this was a Special Cup opener track, in which case this is where the tracks get a substantial increase in difficulty from the rest of the game. Yet with this course, compared to just about anything in the Star Cup, I say every other course in the Star Cup minus Maka Woohoo is not only more cooler and fitting theme-wise, it's also a lot tougher. Are you really gonna sit here and tell me a sewer system filled with piranha plants, a Wario-owned haunted shipyard, and a Bowser-themed dystopian futuristic city pouring rain is a worse fit for a Special Cup than basic jungle number 45? Ain't nothing special about this. And like I said, the gameplay here isn't difficult by Special Cup standards. The only thing that may trip you up is the 3 jumps leading into the temple, but otherwise the hazards here are pretty tame, the turns aren't as sharp as those in Neo Bowser City or even Piranha Plant Slide. And for that reason, I also just find the gameplay so boring. It's one of the most linear tracks in the series, with the only real shortcut not even being risky enough for needing a mushroom. At least in 8. I don't remember if you need a mushroom 7. So it's like, why would you ever go around it? The temple section is filler. The final glider could have been cool with the pillar screaming blowing wind, you know, causing you to lose your sight of your path a little bit, but nope, nothing. And this is just a me thing 100%. I hate this last section. In order to go to the fastest path, you need to have enough momentum. And you also need to do a really sharp drift, which is fine, but a game like Mario Kart 8, especially where the items are so chaotic, it's like 80-20 risk-reward ratio. Yeah, I just do not like this course gameplay-wise. Either it just has bad or questionable design, boring sections, or just a truly infuriating section at the end. And the last thing I'm going to touch upon with DK Jungle is the music itself. The music for DK Jungle isn't bad per se, but it's very underwhelming compared to most remixes of the DK Island Swing. Sluggers, Melee, and Palm Tree Grove do a way better job than this. I would rather listen to those any time of the day over this. So yeah, I fucking hate this course. Like, I know a lot of, you know, my own friend circle, people who are participating in this video, like to make accusations on people who hate this course, that just because Garrett likes it, people hate it. Now, me personally, I'm a big fan of hating things Garrett likes. I'm joking, by the way, I love you, bro. But what I was going to say, I think I've done it at the very least a decent job at explaining why I hate DK Jungle. If you like DK Jungle and think it's a good rep at DKCR, all the more power to you. I personally just can't enjoy this course in basically any capacity. And in my opinion, it's easily one of my least favorite tracks across the whole series. I don't really have much to say on about the other courses. Yoshi Falls is shit. DK Jungle Parkway, just don't care. Lakeside is cool. It has a cool volcano gimmick. It's just, yeah, another jungle course. And Riverside is fun, especially in 8 Deluxe. And I love how it looks in 8 Deluxe, but again, it's just I don't know. It's still a Mushroom Cup track at the end of the day. Like, it's good. And I like the little patooey gimmick they do where you like have to hit the patooies and you get a chance to get mushrooms and stuff. I think that was fun, but you know, there's only so much you could do with the GBA Mushroom Cup track. But there is one track that I do have a lot of positive to say on. That's the only jungle track I haven't touched upon yet. Dino Dino Jungle is easily my favorite track of the bunch, mainly thanks to its world version. First off, I mean, who doesn't love dinosaurs? I mean, I hate Yoshi, but all the other dinos are cool in my book. And in terms of the original and the 7 version, they're pretty cool. A lot of prehistoric features and set pieces like old wooden bridges, a bunch of fossils, the cave area water geysers. It's a really fun and challenging track, but the main issue I have with it is that it's called Dino Dino Jungle, and there's only one main dinosaur you interact with. I mean, Noshi is the GOAT. We love Noshi in this household. But I wish the gameplay had a bit more of the dinosaurs involved. MK World Dino Dino Mercy Overwatch gift, right? Dino Jungle got probably my favorite remake of all the retro tracks in Mario Kart World. Some stayed faithful like Airship, Fortress, and Toad's Factory. Some getting full on redemption arcs like Wario Stadium and Sky High Sunday. And some being just a shit like Desert Hills. What makes DDJ my favorite in terms of how it's remained? Because there are definitely retro tracks in World that I do like playing more than Dino Jungle, but the reason why it's my favorite in terms of a remake is because of its continuity from the original. It tells a little bit of a story. A prehistoric jungle that existed between the period of Mario Kart 7 and Mario Kart World. Researchers began building the huge-ass laboratory and taking over the land the prehistoric jungle once was. They used Noshi and a bunch of other dinosaurs that lived amongst these jungles, and in turn are now used for testing, research, very poor maintenance of the dinosaurs. I mean, they let these bitches roam around all over the place. But I just love what they did to this track. You know, I know some people are not a fan of how industrialized some Mario Kart tracks have become, but I think for this case, it makes perfect sense. I think this made the gameplay a lot more interesting as well. You now have 4 dinosaurs to interact with, riding on top of the Scrimbliosaurus head, avoiding the legs of the Brachiosaurus like in the original, and the T-Rex, which is pretty much the face of this new Dino Jungle, where he'll run at you aggressively. Why? Garrett loves the T-Rex.
That's cold, you know, to be fair.
Hello? I just did 8 tricks off the
Why is mine not even a bomb?
Oh, why did I bounce off somebody's fucking head? What?
It could have gone so much worse than it is, to be fair.
Got sacked, boys, so I did not bad. Top 50.
Not
How it feels to clip farm Garrett on Dino Dino Jungle. Oh, and then there's the 4th dinosaur. It takes the middle bridge and makes it a grind route, so you can use, which I think is pretty awesome. Is it easier than the original? Sure, but more rails to grind on means the more fun I'm having, so I don't mind it. The new laboratory section is also really awesome. My only gripe, you know, gameplay wise, is the big shortcut that was in the original is now a simple grass cut, which is like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like big shortcuts with no risk. That's kind of a bit of a gray area for me, but the interior itself is awesome, and you even have a new upper path in case you want a bit of safety, which is important because between the Geyser 24 racers, having that little extra option is really nice. And I know a lot of people might be frustrated with the fact that Geysers don't send you in a helpless state. Me personally, I'm fine with this because I think they're way more punishing than getting hit by a lot of hazards and items and stuff. So it actually weirdly works, because you get so much airtime. You lose a lot more time because of how quickly you recover from getting hit by stuff in this game. So yeah, outside of the big shortcut becoming easier, this is like a near flawless remake in my opinion. They took the original track, added so many new bells and whistles, keeping that central theme and idea intact, and even incorporated so many new and fun mechanics and gameplay elements to keep it fresh, because this is a track that's been remade before. I didn't even mention the music either. The remix is phenomenal. It still feels very jungly, but the new drum kit and electric guitar also represents the new industrial theme they went for, and I like to associate the electric guitar with the T-Rex roaring. I'm gonna be honest, the only reason why I didn't put Jungle in F tier was because of Dino Down Jungle, because the rest of the lineup is pretty mediocre to shit in all things considered. The big fan favorite was Dino Jungle with 13 people picking as their favorite. I have no idea how Yoshi Falls even got 2 votes. 2 Parkway votes are also kind of insane. Honestly, in general, if you didn't vote Dino Jungle, I genuinely question you, because all these other tracks are nowhere near the high quality this track is, if I'm going to be straight honest. I know the DK Jungle Glazer's always out on full force. I bet y'all also thought OJ was innocent and you yelled for DK Jungle. Oh well, yeah, of course the 2 Donkey Kong fans, Garrett and Clyde, are putting Jungle's S tier. Fork Fountain Kitchen, y'all be hopping on dick. Like Donkey Kong not that good, bro. Tell me. And then you have Copy up there. Like I thought you knew ball, but you know, just heartbreaking. I've had enough hate on Jungles. I'm gonna finally move on. Capping off the seats here, we have the horror/haunted theme tracks. These include the 3 Ghost Valleys from Super Mario Kart, Banshee Boardwalk from Mario Kart 64, Boo Lake and Broken Pier from Super Circuit, Luigi's Mansion from DS, Twisted Mansion from 8, and Boo Cinema from World. This is a category where I'm like kind of really sad to see down here, but at the same time I don't think Mario Kart really does a great job at horror levels. The main issue arises from 6 of the 9 tracks here being on a boardwalk in pitch black night. It's like when Manny tells the same joke over and over again in the car. And then in terms of the other 3, 2 of them take place in mansions, so you only have 1 track here that gives you a unique setting. The boardwalk aesthetic is really boring. The only instance I kind of mess with it is Banshee Boardwalk, and that's mainly because of the house that sits in the middle of the boardwalk. The welcome sign being made of blood is crazy for a kid's game a little bit. And then there's also just some sort of lore behind this track in general. According to the Mario Kart DS Europe description of this course, it states, this rickety wooden walkway is haunted by the spirits of drivers who fall into their doom from its barrier-less bends. At least that's what the rumors say. But say boo to the old news stories and concentrate on keeping your cart on the straight and narrow, I guess, boardwalk. That is insanely creepy to me. Imagine you're falling through the boardwalk, slowly drowning, and the last thing you see is this big fucking fish. There's so many ways you could theorize and storytell about this track, and it sounds believable. The course itself is pretty good. It has a few difficult turns and whatnot, but it's not the most compelling as a racetrack. Still a fun time though. Now, what I really want to touch upon were the mansions in Boo Cinema. Luigi's Mansion was the first horror themed track we got that wasn't a boardwalk, instead basing it off the actual game the course is named of, or so we thought. If you've ever played Luigi's Mansion, the actual course, you know you spend like 10 seconds in the mansion itself. Little disappointing, but I think the set pieces it does have is really cool, and I like how it flows. You go through the courtyard, you enter the mansion, you look at the nice artwork in the hallways and the dining area, exit the mansion to a graveyard, and then go through the spooky forest until you loop back again. It's not the craziest thing ever, but it is a Mushroom Cup track at the end of the day, so I can't really be too harsh on it. I just, you know, again, like I said, I like the flow and the locations you travel through, and it just works well in its gameplay. The mansion is for the big spectacle and soy jack epic moments, while the outside portions are where the gameplay comes in, because in the forest you have the slippery mud and moving trees to dodge, and I always like when they make 2 hazards kind of work together, because on their own they wouldn't be a threat, but trying to maneuver around the moving trees while slipping in the mud can be annoying, which is a great gimmick for a Mushroom Cup track, might I add. So yeah, all in all, Luigi's Mansion is really awesome. Same cannot be said for the other mansion course. I hate Twisted Mansion, both gameplay and visually. The correct word to use here is uninspired. Compare this theme and aesthetic to literally anything else in Mario Kart 8's new lineup, and tell me this even remotely stands out with the rest. The thing is, they could have done something different than yet another mansion, especially in a game like 8. But they just stuck to the same formula, and they didn't even do a good job with it. It's the same dining room like Luigi's Mansion, but then you pass by a library for 2 seconds, you go into a sewer system where it's just gray and more gray, until you fly back out into a smaller mansion and go through a graveyard. Like, we have Luigi's Mansion at home, head ass. Like, what are we doing here, bro? You could have made the library a full centerpiece of the course gameplay. Have flying books, narrow corridors, an evil boo librarian. I don't know, do something. The sewer section also just incredibly dull. It's a straight line, gameplay wise, and visually it's just gray and more gray. There's nothing. I think a sewer section is fine, but more bonefish and a more visual flair would do the job nicely. And shorten a bit, because I think it does overstay its welcome. And then finally, there's Boo Cinema. At first glance, when I saw this in the trailer for the game, I was really hyped for this track. First of all, finally a ghost theme track. We're seeing something different, and it's such an awesome theme as well. Ghostly movie theater, like, you know, is that not just kind of fire? When it comes to the presentation, this is easily one of world's starring shows. The entrance itself coming from the Ghost Valleys, the posters about different movies, the little timer counting down as it tracks your movement going into the movie, and then when you hit the movie itself, the background color turns into sepia, representing the old-timey movies, giving it that horror aspect. You then drive on the Peach film rolls of her being scared, which is, you know, just a nice little touch, and then you fly back on moving to the theater itself, where the game does not like to make it clear that you can't go to the right, which is really cool and awesome. Thank you, game. It sounds like I'm Nintendo soyboying over this, but I love what they did with this track. Everything here, from the theater itself to the castle in the background of the movie, just looks and feels incredible. And the music is one of my favorites in the world as well. It perfectly captures, again, the theme of this track, while also being a callback to a lot of what the old horror movies sound like. And the best part is we have 2 incredible versions. A normal spooky theater version and the jazzy movie version that sounds really dramatic, but again, fits with the theme really well. I would love Boo Cinema so much, but unfortunately, I think the gameplay is where this course really falls short. It's heartbreaking, because this is genuinely such a just okay course. Like, I don't even want to be like simple course equals bad, because I genuinely do think that's a bad mentality to have when you're trying to, you know, talk about what's good and bad about courses. Boo Cinema barely even uses any of World's new and cool mechanics. Like, the rail grinding here is pretty limited. There's no real wall riding outside of specific ending shortcuts. Obviously, I've mentioned before that, you know, walls and rails, they're like the most fun part about Mario Kart World, so the more courses that have them, the better they become. But not all courses have a ton of rails or walls, but they have a lot of other fun gimmicks or just a fun layout in general. You know, when we get to Chocolate Mountain, I'll talk about that. That track barely has any walls or rails, and yet I still think it's a great track because of, you know, what else, the many other things it does. And even other simple tracks, like let's say Mario Bros. Circuit, Whistle Stop Summit, they use walls and rails so well. Even though they're still, you know, pretty simple, pretty straightforward tracks, there's still a lot more you can do with it, and it gives a lot more depth. Which Boo Cinema unfortunately does not have any of that. So it's a very one-note course. I don't know. It's just really disappointing what they did with it, because there's also just no hazards or gimmicks to really back it up either. So it kind of feels like they definitely went big on the visuals, but for the gameplay they just kind of slapped on a layout and just called it a day, and that's a bit of a shame. And one more nitpick I have, it would have been cool if the movie itself had different movies playing, like a set rotation, so even though the layout wouldn't change the background, even the movie scrolls can. Like, it's super cool, don't get me wrong, as it is, but, you know, I would like to have a little bit change in scenery, a little bit more variety. I think even gameplay wise, a lot of these are still very solid. Like the Ghost Valley tracks, for example, some of the better Super Mario Kart themes in terms of tracks. Like, I don't think there's a single one here that I would actively call bad. Like I said, Banshee Boardwalk is pretty fun. Boo Lake in its original is fine, but I actually really do like the remake in 8. I think it's super fun, it's fast paced, a lot of areas to fall off and a lot of sharp turns. I really enjoy the remake, even to this day I still do. Broken Pier, very slept on track from Super Circuit as well. I think it has a lot of fun shortcuts, the cat calling boos that kind of circle your cart are really cool hazards that I wish they would bring back. We haven't seen a remake of it since its original, but I feel like a remake could go extremely hard, considering it was a special cup track, so maybe they want to keep that same difficulty. And then you have Luigi's Mansion, which is one of my favorite tracks to come out of DS. The bar is in hell, because there's not very many, you know, standout DS tracks, but I would like to see it return again. It probably won't because of Boo Cinema, but maybe in the next game. And even though Boo Cinema is kind of mid, I don't hate playing on it. I mean, I can have some fun on it every once in a while. So the only real standout L here is Twisted Mansion. I just cannot stand that course. So despite the fact the overall theme time being lame, the tracks themselves aren't too bad. Boo Cinema is the winner as to be expected, with Luigi's Mansion coming in second place. I find it crazy that Twisted Mansion and Georgia genuinely think they should live. I mean, who said that? And then the overall ranks, yeah, I mean, ton of, like, a lot more F tiers than I thought it would get, but yeah, that's horror tracks. Okay, moving on. Kicking off the B tier is the desert tracks. This category holds Calamari Desert from 64, Sunset Wilds and Yoshi Desert from Super Circuit, Dry Desert from Double Dash, Desert Hills from DS, Dry Ruins from Wii, Shy Guy Bazaar from 7, and Bone Dry Dunes from 8. I'm a little shocked desert courses get into the B tier because deserts are typically like some of the least like biomes or areas in any game. And Mario Kart is really no different. I mean, this is usually because deserts are just really fucking boring aesthetically, and even gameplay wise are not that great. World 2 SMB Wii might be the worst world in any new Super Mario Bros. Game. Deserts is, you know, like I said, aesthetically they just really suck. It's either Egyptian, Middle Eastern, or Wild West typically, and it's like they don't really switch it up a whole lot. What makes a good desert, you know, level or area is the gimmicks you have in it. Desert levels tend to have some really great ideas gameplay wise, and I think Mario Kart for the most part tries to make these desert courses have a ton of things for you to do. I say for the most part because Desert Hills exists. Desert Hills has appeared in 3 games now, and not a single appearance has impressed me. The original had a Super Mario Bros. 3 style aesthetic with the angry sun, even the pipe mage, which is cool, I guess. But at the same time, can I even give it props for referencing Super Mario Bros. 3 when there's a track that debuted in the exact same game that also inspired from SMB3 that did it way better. So like theme wise it's boring because it just feels like a normal desert, but again, reference city. But not only that, but gameplay wise it sucks. So when it came back from Mario Kart World, imagine having a chance at a potential redemption arc, fixing all the problems that the original track had, really making its return worthwhile that you've done for so many retro tracks in this game, and say fuck you. The theme of New Desert Hills is based on an archaeological dig construction site, which I think has the potential to make for an awesome racetrack, but they do nothing with it. You don't interact with a single element of the new theme. Instead, it's just more desert, but now you can't soy boy over Mario 3, you soy boy over Mario Land. And the racetrack itself is boring. Wide and empty turns, doesn't utilize the new mechanics all too well, and they even removed hazards from the original versions. What was even the point in bringing this back? Why take a track nobody fucking likes and then make it arguably worse in both aspects? What were they thinking? Like, the new theme would be good if you could actually interact with it, but they don't. Oh my fucking god, bro. $80 just to play Desert Hills. Imagine that. Like, if anything, make each section of the course have its own set hazard to represent it. The first few turns could be those Mario Land 1 enemies, and then the Pokies and the Sandy Hills, and then the last sections have the Fire Snakes, like the original. It's really not that hard. God, of course, makes me so fucking upset. Like, that could have gone to Dry Ruins, that could have gone to Yoshi Desert. A track that, like, because in general it's just a bad pick because there's other stuff in line. But it makes it even worse. They did not do anything good with it. They made it arguably worse. Like, I think 2 tracks that stand out theme-wise is Shy Guy Bazaar and Bone Dry Dunes. Shy Guy Bazaar in general is just an awesome track. I think it's easily one of the best to come out of 7's, you know, new lineup. Making an Middle Eastern marketplace as a location of a racetrack is just really cool. In both versions, World especially, the place always feels brimming with life of Shy Guys and Toads and whoever's trying to buy the food or interacting with one another. And the addition of Daisy's Palace and World is pretty cool, since Daisy is usually associated with deserts. You could definitely still see this as a desert track, but they really switched with the form in an awesome way, and I think this is as close to perfect as we can get in terms of desert tracks as a whole. And even the gameplay itself, I love it as well. The design of a marketplace in general allows itself to have many diverging pathways, and Shy Guy Bazaar uses it to its full advantage. Even in the original, there's like a ton of split routes in the beginning area between going on top and the bottom, where there's even more split paths. And then Mario Kart World takes this and expands upon this even further. They take it like from let's say like a 6 or 7 to like a 12, right? I mean, there's a ton of rails, walls, little shortcuts just littered everywhere. It's actually really fucking insane. There are so many ways to complete laps on this track and just race it however you want, that even though it is on the easier side layout wise because it's still a Mushroom Cup track, there isn't going to be a race where you take the same lines. The course wants you to explore all these new paths and rails, and they aren't very challenging either. Replayability is super important in Mario Kart track because you're going to be playing these tracks over and over, even in just one session, and I think this track truly masters the replayability factor. It's easily one of the best courses in the world that shows off what World's new and flashy gameplay mechanics are like and what lengths you can take them to. And even in 7, it fits well as 7's philosophy and track design is multiple paths and all, you know, all that stuff. So yeah, not only does Shy Guy Bazaar have great theming, but its theme plays into the core gameplay of it so well, which is what I would want a Mario Kart track to do. As for Bone Dry Dunes, I just really like how it looks and what it goes for. Being a reddish-orange desert with a heavy emphasis on bones and fossils is also a great way to changing up an otherwise dull theme, like going from the anti-gravity bony wall and then gliding into a cave through Dry Bowser's mouth is one of my favorite moments in Mario Kart 8 as a whole. This is a track that's really grown on me a lot more the more I played it. It's got a few split paths, some harsh turns, which is good because it's a special cup track, it should be hard. And in general, it has a decently fun layout. I honestly do believe the hate for this track is way overblown just because it's a desert track. It's got a lot more going for it than most Mario Kart 8 Nitro tracks. Like, I know nobody really wants to admit that. Like, hard pill to swallow and everything, but it's true. This one always constantly has something going on. Calamari Desert and Dry Dry Ruins are also fantastic tracks in my opinion. Calamari Desert is just a funny shit show, especially in 8. I love interacting with the train, all the crazy item shenanigans that can happen, the big ass shortcuts you could do. There's never truly a boring moment in Calamari Desert, and it utilizes the train so much better compared to its previous iterations because of the intimacy that comes with having such a narrow space to move around. And the green shot bomb setups are like actually crazy. And it sets up for the third lap because everybody's trying to frantically scramble to the finish line. Just the chaos Calamari Desert brings, I don't think any other track could truly represent. Not even Baby Park. Is it the greatest theme wise? I mean, it's just a desolate desert with the trains. I mean, it does what it needs to do. As for Dry Dry Ruins, much like Bone Dry Dunes, since this was a special cup and Wii, you can really take advantage using so many hazards. And this is exactly what this track does. Falling pillars, bats, pools of sand that you have to half pipe over, fucking hell, and the pits with pokies that sand fills with over time. And combined with so many great set pieces that makes a special cup track fun, you also have a ton of shortcuts in case you need to catch back up. It's got the best aspects of a desert course and a special cup course wrapped into one. I'm like really surprised this isn't seen as one of Wii's best courses, because at least in my opinion, it's one of the standouts of Wii's selection. Honestly, better track than Mushroom Gorge and Coconut Mall. So yeah, overall, even though the theme of desert courses isn't exactly mind-blowing, the actual gameplay of them is pretty good, honestly. Bizarre, Calamari, Dry Dry Ruins, Bone Dry Dunes, awesome tracks in my book. Even some of the, okayish ones like Dry Dry Desert, Sunset Wilds, Yoshi Desert, they're pretty decent. And the only real dud here is Desert Hills. Speaking of Desert Hills, Max, you want to tell us what's happening? Like, oh, that's Wario stinky, brother. I'm gonna be honest. But overall, Shy Guy Bazaar wins. Who could have seen that coming? And then the overall ranks, personally, I would give it an A. Would be S if Desert Hills weren't there and the theme was a bit stronger and more tracks here. Yeah, I think it definitely deserves to be A tier. I have a soft spot for desert tracks, to be honest. Off-road dirt track. We have all 3 donut plains and both the Chocolate Islands from Super Mario Kart, Moo Farm and Yoshi Valley from 64, Cheeseland from Super Circuit, Peach Gardens from DS, Moo Meadows and Mushroom Gorge from Wii, Daisy Hills from 7, and Sweet Sweet Canyon from 8. I'm gonna make this one pretty quick since this is pretty generic, but like, how the fuck did this even get B tier? Are y'all not seeing what tracks are here? A lot of these tracks are just so mid. Like, both Chocolate Island courses are terrible. The Donut Plains courses are mediocre to bad. Moo Farm, who gives a shit? Yoshi Valley was good in its original, but a lot of y'all played the 8 version, and the 8 version is literally the worst course in the game. Moon Meadows, Daisy Hills, and Sweet Sweet Canyon, they're good courses, but they aren't really doing any heavy lifting here. Cheeseland is great, but a lot of people hate the 8 version, because they kind of ruined the theme of it, and low-key kind of agree, but, I mean, I still think it's a decent course in 8, but, okay, most of you guys played the 8 version, most of you guys hate the 8 version, so I like, Mushroom Gorge and Peach Gardens are the only 2 courses here where I'd say truly shine, as everybody loves these 2 tracks. But I don't know, are these 2 really enough to carry such a whatever lineup? The big favorite here is Gorge. Who could have seen that coming? I'm not even gonna comment on Jack's track. That is just horrific, bro. Like, oh my. You low-key fell off of rage baiting. I don't know. I feel like you've lost your mojo, honestly. As for overall tiers, some of y'all putting this A and S. Like, bro, how are y'all looking at this lineup and putting it in A or S? Like, is Mushroom Gorge and Peach Gardens that good? Y'all like a Wii, just a Wii glazing. Oh my god, bro. I am pleased to announce that Ice and Snow tracks did not indeed make the top 10. Bless Anyway, the tracks here are the Vanilla Lakes from Super Mario Kart, Frappe Snowland and Sherbet Land from 64, Snowland from Super Circuit, Sherbet Land from Double Dash, DK Pass from DS, DK Summit from Wii, Rosalina's Ice World from 7, Mount Wario and Ice's Apples from 8, Merry Mountain from Tour, and Starvey Peak from World. This is one of the few themes that gets a track within every game. I mean, we're literally 10 for 10. Some even getting 2. That being said, you will never find a bigger winter hitter than me. I don't like how freezing cold it gets. I hate traveling in the snow and the ice. Everyone gets sick at this time of year. There is so much wrong with this fuck ass season. And the only thing people use their defense is, gosh, I love cozying up in the warmth. This is what happens when you let jobless bums have an opinion. When it comes to Mario Kart series, ice tracks are very polarizing. Get it? You either love them or you're like me, hate most of them. I mean, I know my good friend Maury loves Frappe Snow and even has a plush of it, and some Frappe Snow merchandise, but outside of them, does anybody actively like this fucking map? It's long, the turns don't lead into each other that well, claustrophobes hate this part, and it sucks. It fucking sucks. A lot of these early snow maps in general just fucking suck, honestly. Vanilla Lake 1 is bad, Sherberland 64 is bad, OG Sherberland Double Dash is bad. I wanted to touch upon 4 maps here that I think have so much missed opportunity when it came to their themes and how their tracks represented them. The first of these being Merry Mountain, because in my opinion it's the least offensive. I think they do a lot right when it comes to the presentation, like the brick roads and the little Christmas village and the train that shoots around and drops coins. Like, there's so many things to make this a winter wonderland, yet none of this is actually implemented into the core gameplay. You don't interact with the train at all. There's no hazards or anything on the actual track itself, which, let me tell you something, this downhill straightaway is unacceptable. So if this course would ever get a remake, I'd love to see a few things. First of all, utilize the presents. Make them drop from the train and have them act like Maple Treeway Leaves or Shy Guy Bazaar jars, where they drop items when you run into them. But even take this a step further and really step into that gambling world. Add mushrooms and bananas, but also add stars and even a bomb that explodes shortly after contact. Not only would this make the gameplay so much more interesting with a heavy emphasis on risk reward, but it's just really funny in principle if you get a bomb, you know what I'm saying? Another thing I like to see is a rework of the downhill straightaway. The obvious answer here is boost pads, of course, but adding some snowmen or penguins or even little shy guys trying to deliver presents to the village would just be really awesome, and would also give a nice end of lap hazard to keep you on your toes. There's so much potential with another do-over at Merry Mountain. While I don't think the course is that bad, it's very underwhelming in not only gameplay but how the theme is represented overall. But it's not nearly as bad as our next course, Ice Ice Outpost. Oh, fucking Ice Ice Outpost, man. Imagine having a research area in an Antarctica setting and doing fuck all with it. You could use the drill machine as hazards, make some really cool alternative paths coming and going through ice tunnels, or, you know, just have a fun layout. But nope! They said, how about we make a course 2 split paths, because we definitely haven't done that so many times in Mario Kart 8. I don't like to call many things wasted slots because I believe many things have a purpose in life, unless you're keen in that case, you serve zero purpose. But I genuinely believe this course is such a wasted slot. But I think the courses that piss me off the most are Rosalina's Ice World and Starvey Peak. Rosalina's Ice World is a very rare miss in terms of track themes. I know a lot of what I cover I had on my criticisms, but at the very least they do their job and they meet the expectation they're supposed to have, even if sometimes that's the bare minimum. But Ice World is just a huge disappointment. This starts off the horrible trend of connecting Rosalina to ice. Literally, in what way before this was Rosalina ever connected to ice or snow? Because her dress was blue, and you might make the argument that DK having DK Pass or Summit doesn't fit Donkey Kong because it's not a jungle, but there have been ice world and ice levels that Donkey Kong's game before. They literally had a whole game called Tropical Freeze, like, and you had Gorilla Glacier as well. So, like, I know those tracks aren't trying to directly reference anything Donkey Kong related to his games. They're just fun little Mario Kart levels that DK happily owns. But with Rosalina Ice World, it's very clear they're trying to make it based on Galaxy, and even then they do a shit job at it. All you have is the Comet Observatory you pass by for 2 seconds, and a few houses on the frozen lake. I wouldn't even consider that bare minimum. I would just consider that fucking try again. I'm not trying to say an ice planet floating in space wouldn't make for a good racetrack, because they're trying to reference Galaxy and fill the ice stage quote at the same time. It's just not working. You know, even the name of the track feels so uninspired. Like, such a dull course, both theme and gameplay. And Starvey Peak is really no better. The only thing that it does better is that you interact with the Comet Observatory for like 3 more seconds at most. Mario Kart World in general did such a great job with its new courses and even fitting old ones into an open world. I know the themes are a bit more streamlined and simple than those in 8, but so many courses execute them near perfectly. So I'm just so happy they fucking reheated their nachos from Ice World and still failed at making an ice track based on Galaxy. Starvey Peak is genuinely so bad, I wouldn't even be surprised if it's unfinished. Not only is the Comet Observatory underutilized, it has the same colored roads from Ice Ice Outpost, and what is easily the most boring sections of any course in history of Mario Kart. This water section is so pathetic. They try to hide the fact it's slow because of the water, so they try to speed up the water. Yet it still feels slower than the main road, so like, why even put a water section there? If you know it's gonna be slow and boring regardless. Fucking hell, bro. How do people not put this in their bottom 2 in Mario Kart World? Like It's so bad. It has almost nothing going for it. Like, oh, it looks pretty. Nobody cares. And the thing is, I'm not upset because it does Galaxy injustice. I don't need a Galaxy-based track in Mario Kart. Because, you know, in general, I like when Mario Kart kind of does its own thing without referencing other games too much. I like their own original concepts and ideas, because if every course was a reference, it would be a little boring and unoriginal. Like, at most, I want 1 or 2 reference-based tracks. It just sucks that this course takes up a slot for basically being redundant from another course we just got in the last wave of the previous game. So yeah, a lot of ice tracks so far are disappointing. Thankfully, it's not all bad. Obviously, DK Summit and Mount Wario, both these tracks are absolutely fantastic. I don't think I really need to tell you that. DK Summit's track design perfectly matches with its extreme winter sports theming. Tons of half pipes and jumps littered everywhere. There's never a dull moment in the course. A lot of stadium maps kind of do the same thing, but with DK Summit, I actually really like the winter sports aspect of it, because you could do some unique things compared to stadiums, like the snowboarding Shy Guys at the end, or the big cannon ride that acts as a ski lift. Why Moving loves this cannon ride. I'm also in general just a big fan of maps that have you blast out of a cannon and then have you descend back down. This track is no different. As for Mount Wario, outside of having the greatest name of any Mario Kart track, there's a reason it's the most beloved Mario Kart 8 original track. The progression of how the track flows is one of the best to ever do it. You know, jumping off a helicopter, and you start off in the extremely harsh, icy mountains, and you have the cave area with rushing water, tons of rocks. Kind of tones down a bit when you go to the dam, but then you jump back into another difficult section with the trees, and dodging these trees. Shit got me supporting deforestation. And then the finale is that just, you know, home stretch victory. The finale could be better. I feel like after doing all that, it feels a little too straightforward. Like, you literally drive straight into a glider for most of it. I mean, like, it's kind of cool, but I don't know. I kind of wish there was a bit more going on in the final section. That's why I don't really think, that's what really holds me back from calling Mount Wario a top 10 track, is because the finale, it could be better, but still a fantastic track nonetheless. Another course I want to give a shout out to is DK Pass. DK Pass gets overshadowed by DK Summit, considering DK Summit just took the DK Winter Mountain theme and then literally ramped it up by 11. I mean, quite literally ramped it up by 11. But I think we as a society have been too harsh on DK Pass, myself included. I don't love the course in DS or 7, but I think a treacherous mountain climb through the snow with snowballs constantly coming at you is just, you know, kind of neat, you know? I think my only issue with this, it's called DK Pass, and DK isn't really prominent here. You know, because like a lot of character-based tracks, the character is very directly shown off or make prominent appearances within the course, like Waluigi Pinball, for example. Thankfully, World fixed this issue. And I'm going to be honest, DK Pass and World might genuinely be a top 3 track in that game. I, for one, actually really like the new theme of it. To match the world, it makes sense to change an isolated mountain to a cozy ski resort. And I know a lot of people argue this kind of overlaps with DK Summit, which personally, I don't really think it steps on DK Summit's toes too much. DK Summit, again, leads it to that more extreme winter sports Olympics and competitions feeling, where DK Pass is more of a family-friendly, and it's easily accessible from the ice cream land. So, like, what more could you ask for? And I think all this is helped by the DK advertisements. I mean, he is plastered literally everywhere in this track. And to be honest, I love it. You know, I personally think Nintendo just really wanted to show off their new Donkey Kong design. And what better way to do it than his own course? I mean, he just looks happy to be here and skiing with everyone who comes to visit. But overall, the new look and new additions really makes it feel like DK owns this place and helps with the world building. And the gameplay, if there's a track that really improved with new mechanics, I think it's easily this one. Even though this course doesn't utilize rails very much as a lot of other courses, I think the course perfectly showcases wall riding and interacting with objects that you can jump off of. There's 3 big instances of places where you can wall ride, and all of them feel extremely satisfying to pull off. And then you have the infamous pole jump and the trees you bounce off in the forest area, which are just extremely fun to do. A lot of other courses in this game don't really utilize wall riding or jumping off obstacles like this to their full effect, and if they do, it's definitely a lot more difficult, like Bowser's Castle. But with DK Pass, none of these are really that hard to learn or pull off, and these are much more accessible to the general player base without lagging too much, which I can really appreciate. And even then, if you can't do these, there's always that big shortcut in the last turn if you need a last second clutch. As I said, these type of shortcuts I'm not a super big fan of, but I think for DK Pass it's acceptable because a lot of shortcuts on this track can be easily done without a mushroom. So even people keeping a lead can still extend their lead and sit comfortably in first place for the most part. It's probably one of the most balanced courses in the whole game in my opinion. You have a combo of narrow wide sections, big mushroom shortcuts, and a ton of shroomless shortcuts, a great showcase and decent tutorial of wall riding and bouncing off objects that even more experienced players can push to the limits and find crazy stuff. I didn't know what to expect with DK Pass and World, but they really made it so much more enjoyable than I could have ever imagined. So good, in fact, that I genuinely thought at some point I might have liked this more than DK Summit. I'm very happy with how this track turned out, and I don't know if it's ever going to be my top 1. I think Bowser's Castle is just going to stay forever top 1, but like I said, it's probably top 3. And on top of that, I'm also a a big Snowland fan as well, mostly because of the shortcuts. Like, the shortcuts are just too fun on this level in 8. That's about it, really. There's many tracks here that bore me to death. A handful of tracks that I just don't think utilize their themes very well. And then there's only 4 tracks here I have positive things to say about. Can't say I'm gonna rank this category very high. Here's everyone's favorite tracks. Chessman, do not make me slap you, silly. Sherver 64? Really? Rage baiting is just getting, like, too brain dead now. And then you Ice Ice Outpost fans, of course it's Jack and Emery. Like, I'm actually genuinely surprised a lot of you put these in A and S. I find it hard to believe that y'all saw this track lineup and think it's near perfect or great even. Like, I know DK Summit and Mount Wario and DK Pass are here, but like, really? Y'all are batting for this? Capping off the beach here, we have the water track. We have Koopa Cape from Wii, Cheep Cheep Lagoon, Piranha Plant Slide and Wario Shipyard from 7, Water Park and Dolphin Shoals from 8, Piranha Plant Cove, Piranha Plant Pipeline, and Squeaky Clean Sprint from Tour, and Faraway Oasis, Cheep Cheep Falls, and Salty Salty Speedway from World. This is definitely a little bit of a we're so over, we're so back type of lineup. Water levels are infamous for being, well, ass. You'd be hard pressed to find somebody who actively enjoys an underwater level in any Mario game. But I think when it comes to Mario Kart, give it a whole lot more justice. I mean, some of the best tracks in the series are in here. For example, Koopa Cape is one of the best designed tracks in my opinion. That's due to its progression with the main gimmick. It starts out simple, just a nice easy drive off the cliffside, but then you jump into the river and this is where the game shows you what the main gimmick is here. So they let you have fun with it because, well, I mean, it's just really fun. When they drop you down the pipe, they use this rushing water gimmick for more strategic and difficulty purposes. You have to dodge the electrical spinners while trying to stay in the water for the best sense of speed. The last one in particular going really fast that sets you up perfectly for an item. I absolutely love this course, just solely for the fact that it gains serious momentum in the track elements and set pieces as you go on. And I kind of wish more tracks flowed more naturally like this. Even though the theme isn't a bit on the basic side, that's definitely not a bad thing here because of, you know, it utilizes said theme extremely well in its gameplay. It's also helped with all the Koopa signs and giant metal shells as well, one of which you can go through. And it's a real shame that the remakes of this course couldn't quite live up to the original. I'm not one of those people who think Koopa Cape is ruined or has become a bad track. I think that's definitely blowing it a bit out of proportion because I do think at the very least the 8 Deluxe version has a lot of good about it. The course being smaller allows for more intense and intimate moments, especially with 8's batshit insane item system. Like the pipe section has a somewhat of that same difficulty because you have to constantly worry about other racers. Something that the original course didn't really do that much. And they also added like anti-gravity and the half pipe to snag extra items, which I think definitely helps with that chaos. I'm not saying this is as good as the Wii pipe, don't get me wrong, but I like, you know, it does something different with it, which I can appreciate. But all in all, Koopa Cape is Koopa great. God, that reads like a Watch Mojo line. Keeping this trend going, let's talk about Piranha Plant Slide. Beautiful, beautiful track right here. This is easily one of the best tracks to come from 7, like probably top 3, and it really shouldn't be hard to see why. The theme is fantastic. It's a direct reference to the underground levels from any 2D Mario games, and they did such a good job representing them. It makes total sense to use Piranha Plants as the central hazard here because underground levels were most likely your introduction to Piranha Plant. This is their domain. Even the music references a bit of that underground theme as well. The attention of detail and set pieces this course is really good, and even though I like original concepts over referencing other games, this track has the chance to politically influence me to join the other side. And the gameplay itself, I mean, it's so damn fun. You can never go wrong with a course that utilizes speed as its main gimmick. Rushing water, harsh turns with a lot of obstacles, the underwater sections having an upper path are one of the funniest gliders in all of Mario Kart. I mean, this glider is fucking insane how steep it is, but that's what makes it so good. A lot of gliders just fire from one point to the drop zone, but this one actively keeps angling it up, otherwise you'll have to miss it. Even in 7, they use water pouring from pipes as a hazard, so both versions actually use this glider really well. And then you have that little last minute shortcut to snag a few places. It does so much right in its gameplay, so it's not really hard to see why it's a beloved track. People like Jack and Keenan, they can hate all they want, but like in the Big 26, why are we taking any of their opinions seriously? Asking them their opinions on good tracks like asking vegans their opinion on meat, like sit this one out. And need I really explain why Squeaky Clean Sprint is awesome? It's a bathroom. Who doesn't like going to the bathroom? Pink Isaiah with this track to make him scream in fear, by the way. Of all the non-city tour original tracks, this is easily the best we've gotten. And yes, I do think Squeaky Clean is better than Yoshi's Island. Sit the fuck down, Yoshi's Island fans. This is a track where I wish I could free roam and explore because there's just so much here. I'll collect the toys on 10-10, the rubber ducky in the tub, the skibidi toilet, and even a mushroom. Like, what's a mushroom doing in the I've never seen a bathroom this clean ever in my life. Gameplay wise, also fantastic. A lot of people really hate the drain section. At first I did too, but I've grown on it a lot. I think it has the same thing as Koopa Cape where it's so narrow that so much shit can just happen, and I'm here for it. I also love the alternate passes start, although I do wish you could use these all the time because you can only use these at the start of the third lap when the toilet is springing water. Bit of a shame that you can't use it at any time, but still cool that it's there. But for every one of these good tracks, there's always a dud. Water Park and Cheep Cheep Lagoon, boring water tutorial levels, we will never be there, I fear. Especially for Water Park because it's just such a wasted theme. Water Park should have fast-paced coasters, mushroom water sections, Water Park theme obstacles, something. Yeah, it's used on a mushroom Also, maybe a controversial take, but I really don't like Piranha Plant Cove. The location for it is a archipelagia. Probably butchered that. Which, if you don't know what it is, it's a chain of islands that are scattered around a body of water, although they are very close by together. And that in itself is cool. It could have been awesome, but nope. It kind of feels like they used ruin and underwater assets and called it a day. Like, what about the Screech Piranha Plant minus the PD heads? Speaking of, there's only one Piranha Plant here that shows up. 2 in Tor, but even then, why would you call this Piranha Plant Cove if Piranha Plant isn't even gonna be here? If anything, it should be based off the fucking eel, because you follow the eel for the whole track. I think sending it at night kind of just harms this track rather than helps it. I think on sunset would make this track look much prettier because visually and theme wise this track is kind of weak. And then the gameplay itself,
I like pizza, I like burger, I like chicken nuggets.
lap 1 and 3 are really boring and they overstay their welcome by a lot. Lap 1 is so long the music is most likely to loop before you even finish it. And why is it so long? Because there's 2 huge drop zones. It's so mind-numbing. The only decent lap is lap 2 because you get to explore a bit more of the ruins and there's a lot of trick opportunities. And if the course was more focused on the ruins part, it'd probably be a lot better. It doesn't, and unfortunately this course is honestly just so fucking ass. I hope it never comes back. The last course I want to discuss is Wario Shipyard. As we know, Wario Shipyard debuted in Mario Kart 7 as a mostly underwater track that takes place in a Wario themed abandoned or haunted shipyard and that has stormy weather. Fantastic idea for a racetrack, and its execution was done well. The theme fits Wario perfectly. You might not expect that coming from an abandoned shipyard, but you do see carts of gold as you're entering the ship, and this course can be easily tied to a pirate's theme with one of the signs having, you know, Wario's bull hat on from Wario Land. I mean, in general, it's such a cool concept, and you could see so many abandoned ship parts and corals in the water, even like grass growing on the main ship itself. The gameplay was also really good, just got very narrow a lot of times, used a lot of underwater based set pieces, like the pipe that blew air and the crabs that were surprisingly a little tricky to get around, and a few neat upper lower split paths. Admittedly, there could have been a few more things added to make this a little more compelling, but it's definitely one of my favorite tracks from 7. And for a lot of people, this track kind of flew under the radar for the longest time. It wasn't until the BCP when people started clamoring for this return of this track. Even though it didn't return the booster course pad, it did eventually make its return in Mario Kart World. And well, this is probably one of, if not the most controversial track in the entire game. I feel like for this game, it's pretty heavily agreed upon which tracks are the very good, or even the best of the best in the game, and which tracks are desert hills. This is a track where I've seen both sides of the argument countless times. I am on the side of loving this remake, both in terms of theming and in gameplay. I personally think it's a straight upgrade over the original. Discussing the theme first, I know a lot of the Wario theming was taken out, which admittedly does kind of sting, but they really put the heavy emphasis on the act that this is supposed to be an abandoned, lonely, dangerous shipyard that may even be haunted. A lot of this is helped with the location of the map. It is by far the most isolated course from the entire map. The only way you can get to Wario Shipyard is through riding the treacherous and dangerous waves. No roads whatsoever lead here, and I think that's a beautiful touch to show you how abandoned and lonely this place is. I also love how every intermission you do to here will always result in this course raining. I wish it would do that normally, but it's a really neat touch to have. And the course in general just looks really cool. Ton of waves, you have piles of boxes and other rubbish just floating in the seas. The Wario tunnel who laughs when you pass under it, much better than the fishbone, might I add. And when it becomes nighttime, you really get to have the full experience. Everything is a haunting color of green, especially the ship itself and the swinging anchor. It feels like you're on the Flying Dutchman ship, and it's genuinely so cool looking. So even though it lost the Wario theme and a few things got removed, I think the theme here is still just as strong, if not stronger. As for the gameplay, the obvious big change here is that underwater driving is no longer a thing, which I was skeptical at first, and I think the first 2 times playing Wario Shipyard, I was like, I mean, it's good, but I was a little disappointed. But the more I played it, the more I got better at it. I think this course just kind of mogs the old one. I'm never saying that again. I think the water driving in World is far more interesting than underwater driving, and this course makes best use of it in my opinion. There are constant ways to trick off throughout the the water sections, meaning you have a chance to chain so many tricks together that the timing is just right. Sometimes it might be a bit awkward, but honestly, I haven't experienced many awkward hopping moments since I first started getting the hang of this. And even if you really do not like the water, they give you plenty of opportunities to avoid as much as possible, between easy to access platforms or rails that are a bit harder to master but skip a lot of it. Including the ending, which if you're able to get on these rails, you just skip the entire last water section. And because of how waves work on this course, the slowness of water driving never truly affects this track that much. It's a really fun and fast-paced track that has a ton of options, a ton of stuff for you to do. And while I do understand not fully enjoying it because water can be annoying, I also see haters of this track putting this bottom 3 even worse track in the game, and I genuinely don't understand what even makes you come to that conclusion when Desert Hill, Starvey Peak, and Peach Beach exist. You're not really about to sit here and tell me those tracks are better than Wario Shipyard. Rage Bait used to be so believable. I'm just saying, same people that will shit on this course will also enjoy 4 minutes of driving on a glorified straight line because it has pretty colors. Listen, that's all I'm saying. I will defend this Wario Shipyard until I die. It really is that good to me, and hopefully as time goes on, it will get the love it really deserves. Anyway, that's water tracks. Overall, there's a ton here I enjoy. Even tracks like Dolphin Shoals and Cheap Cheap Falls, I really like as well. Squeaky Clean Sprint wins here with Koopa K, Piranha Plant Sign, and Wario Shipyard coming close. Of course, the two people on Piranha Plant Cove are the two biggest Shipyard haters. Like, the jokes just write themselves at this point. Like, who is gonna take you seriously at this point? Overall, I gave an A tier for this category. I think it's almost S. Unfortunately, it's held back by a few tracks. Nobody is shocked to see Garrett and Jack and D. They avoid showers like the bubonic plague, and the thought of them drinking water to hydrate themselves just makes them break out in panic and fear. So yeah, of course they're going to put it in D. But for the normal people who put it in B and above, good job. Alrighty, the stadium maps kick off to A tier this time. We have Wario Stadium from 64, Waluigi Stadium and Wario Coliseum from Double Dash, Wario Stadium DS, Mario Kart Stadium from 8, and Peach Stadium from World. The thing that easily makes stadiums so fucking cool is the atmosphere around it. Thousands of people in the crowd cheering you on, all the obstacles and the big jumps, the flashing lights in some cases. It all just has such an electrifying atmosphere, even grandiose atmosphere, that really sets the tone of what a stadium track should be all about. And if you take that all the way, you get Peach Stadium. Peach Stadium is kind of an underwhelming track in my opinion. I mean, the idea of turning Peach's Castle into a huge stadium where people can literally take a fucking train to watch, you know, any sort of matches or racing. It's really cool. It's just you never really get that stadium vibe from it. You can't really see the crowd, and then, you know, the jumps aren't as big and bombastic as you'd like them to be. And then the track itself, I don't know, it's just, it feels more like a circuit track than a stadium track. You know, there's like a cool upper path. Is that really enough by Mario Kart World track design standards, especially when it's slower? It doesn't help that there's another stadium map in the game that pretty much nails its theming perfectly, that we'll get to in a little bit. So I honestly think they kind of fumbled with this one. I've seen this track get compared to Mario Kart Stadium, but the big thing with that track is that you actually feel the presence of a big crowd, and that whole like day of the races feel. Considering this is the first track of Mario Kart 8, a game where the graphics took a big step in the series, of course they want to show it off in the most bombastic, grandiose way possible. A big city in the back, it's set at nighttime, even has a damn pit stop. This is what Peach Stadium should have really inspired more from. Considering it's the penultimate track before Rainbow Road, showing that the journey is complete, it makes Peach Stadium feel even more empty. As for Mario Kart Stadium, the track itself is okay, it's a beginner track, but it does do a good job of showing like 8's mechanics and stuff, so I'd say it's better than Peach Stadium at least. Now for the actual big dirt bike intense stadiums, this is where the theme really shines. Wario and Waluigi built these maps from the ground up, made sure to charge you at least $2721 for admission, and filled their entire stadiums with tons of crazy obstacles, jumps, jumbotrons, even a Wario statue. Oh man, sorry, I was getting distracted there. I'll go over Wario Coliseum first. I just want to say the track being set in a giant cage in a Roman Coliseum is some shit Wario would fucking pull off. I love the idea of it, like really I do, but I think the track was just way too early in the series. It's really long, and I think there are times where it genuinely does overstay its welcome a lot. Combined with no trick system and some parts just being way too wide and fenced off, it gets kind of boring by the time I hit lap 2. It's not a bad track. Like I said, the idea is really cool for it, and I think in a remake where they not only could they really expand on it even further, but just having a trick system in general, I can easily see this being one of my favorite courses if it gets the proper remake it deserves. The other 3 stadium tracks though are fantastic. I'll start with Wario Stadium DS. In its original in DS, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really like this course at all. But I think the redemption and the overhaul it got in 8, astronomical. Let me tell you. You have that big crowd surrounding you. I like the fact that it's during the day. It's a perfect contrast to Waluigi Stadium being at night. You have the damn fine Wario statue. This course uses a lot of jumps and obstacles. I mean, there's something to do in every corner. Hopping between these 4 ramps across the mud, jumping through fire hoops, this weird looking anti-gravity thing that's actually kind of badass. And the underwater section nobody actually likes. But there's a lot that it does right. And I think that's just what makes it a very fun track. And it's one of the more difficult ones in A as well. But I think the other 2 stadiums are definitely better. Like Wario Stadium 64. Now let me clarify, when I'm talking about 64's Wario Stadium, I'm talking about the World Remake, because I'm going to clear this up right now. The OG is horrific. Does it have good atmosphere? Sure, I think. I don't know. But the track is so long, nothing ever happens. How N64 unks gaslit an entire generation to thinking this track was actually good genuinely deserves you like 5 criminal charges at minimum. Because who sits here for 5 minutes just hopping over little jumps, making the smoothest turns known to mankind, and thinks this shit is a good time? Like, this is a Star Cup track. Where are the hazards, the harsh turns, anything? Where's my content? This is like Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 1. Like, no fucking update. No, like, content, no nothing. Only thing saving this track from being the worst thing ever is Wario's face plastered on the wall. Someone got real trigger happy with that PNG button. But let me tell you something. That doesn't make for a fun racetrack. And Nintendo do this because for almost 30 years this track was forgotten media. But one brave Frappe Snowland enjoyer revived in the reboot van at Racket the Rail Yard. And thus Wario Stadium came back with a vengeance. This is one of, if not potentially the greatest remake any track has ever received. The new look is totally in line with Wario. This place does not look up to code whatsoever. It looks like it was put together with scrap metal from Junk Junction, half-ass slapped together with Elmer's glue and smiley stickers. Wario would cheap out as much as he can, and that he doesn't care if the stands collapse. He still gets paid. Gucci down to the socks, and this man is still asking for $4. And the actual track itself and how it plays, genuinely one of the most fun tracks I've ever had in the series. Tons of ramps, tons of opportunities to hop on walls and rails through the ramps. The big jump feels epic. This track has so much stunt and trick opportunities. You are zipping and moving around all over the damn place. There is no boring section here. I know the layout shortening, not everyone's cup of tea, but I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I'm heartbroken about the layout being shortened, because I think it deserved it. Genuinely, it was just way too long. And like, I have no doubts if they kept it faithful, they would have made it super engaging. But I think I would say this is a perfect length, and it gets all the best parts from the original anyway. Couple all this with easily the best rendition of the Mario Kart 64 Raceway theme, and you got yourself a track that is thrilling, fast-paced, and overall just feels really cool to play on. And this again is why I find Peach Stadium a letdown, because this just shows you how a stadium should feel, how it should be represented. Has that electrifying crowded like $8 hot dog. You like, I don't know. You don't feel like this when you play Peach Stadium. You just feel boredom. And saving my personal favorite for last, Waluigi Stadium. One of my favorite courses in the whole series, which sounds weird because this isn't like, when you think favorite courses in the whole series, you probably wouldn't think Waluigi Stadium right away. I think this course absolutely nails that stadium feel the best. You always see the big crowd in the background, and when you go on a jump through a fire ring, they also start cheering for you, which is just really cool. Even though color-wise it's a lot of brown, so it's not my favorite in that department for its originals. The new coat of paint the A version got is so good. And again, you still get that electrifying atmosphere. But now you get all the bright flashy lights that Waluigi borrowed from his pinball table. It just looks good and feels good all around. And the gameplay, I love the gameplay on this one. Each version does a really good job, give an alternate take on what the track is and how it's supposed to play like. Double Dash versus more hazard focused, with the middle section, you know, with how slippery the controls are, it actually is quite difficult to get around the piranha plants and fire bars most of the time. And even though the 8 Deluxe version focuses less on hazards, it puts more emphasis on trick stunts and in general driving capability. There's a bunch of ramps and half pipes, and my favorite new feature the course has, which is these metal platforms. Not only are they decent alternate paths for safety or an extra item box, but they also fit perfectly with pulling off really cool stunts like a BMX tournament would have, while also shows off Waluigi's nature, which is him being a show off, him, you know, trying to steal the spotlight. It just makes perfect sense in both worlds. And then the Wii version is a mix of both. It doesn't master either like its other versions do. It does such a good job at mixing both that I don't mind that it doesn't master them, because you get that equal opportunity. So I don't know. I've really loved the track, especially when it came out in 8. The 8 version is usually my favorite, not just because of the visual overhaul, but it really puts a heavy emphasis on doing crazy stunts and having a good time. Riding across those half pipes and getting on the metal platforms is some of the most fun 8 has to offer of any track. So is it hard to see why it wins here? A lot more people than I thought. That's 14 people voting for it. People thinking Wario Coliseum. I think y'all got some sort of delusional problem. Like again, how are y'all picking this over Wario Stadium World or Waluigi Stadium? And as you can see, as we're getting into the higher tiers, you can see a lot more stuff is being well liked. There's only one D tier this time. Keenan getting embarrassed. You love to see it. Up next, we have the city and car-based tracks. These include Toad's Turnpike from 64, Mushroom Bridge and Mushroom City from Double Dash, Delfino Square and Shroom Ridge from DS, Moonview Highway from Wii, Neo Bowser City from 7, Toad Harbor from 8, all 14 of the real-life city tracks, and Crown City from World. So we need to address the elephant in the room, the Tour Cities. These are some of the most controversial tracks in all of Mario Kart, for many reasons. The main job of the Tour City is not only to be a good racetrack, but also show off each city and all its big locations. The problem is the quality of these tracks are very up and down and all around. For example, Madrid Drive is my favorite tour city because of the amount of different locations you go to. Lap 1 has the plaza with a sleeping wiggler, a train station, and the museum with some nice looking artwork, with both of them being infested with piranha plants. A great start, but it keeps going. Lap 2 is a marketplace with bombs infesting it, and the plaza where the wiggler is awake and roaming around again. And then lap 3 is the big finale where they show you the most memorable set piece being the football stadium with shoe goombas kicking around the soccer balls back and forth. Not only does this track give you a tour of what a Mario-ized Madrid looks like, but also is just extremely fun gameplay-wise, with being one of the easiest tour tracks to navigate throughout a race. The only real blind turn being the plaza, even then you have a whole lot of wide space to turn in time, so it's not a big deal. Overall, Madrid is a fantastic way to close out the tour cities, and I'm glad it's one of the most well looked upon tour city tracks. Also, the music is a banger. But on the contrary, you have something like Berlin Byways, and it's just like, yep, this is a road with cars, alright? But then you get Singapore Speedway, you go on the rooftop pool, Chinatown, some of the most fun gliding sections in the entirety of 8 Deluxe. I'm like, great, this is awesome, but then you have New York Minute, which is just road and park. See, this is what I mean though. It's so wishy-washy on what is genuinely good quality and what is Tokyo Blur. Oh, and speaking of Tokyo Blur, this track is so fucking bad. One of the biggest misfortune I've ever had experience in my life is playing this god dookie awful, oh my god, I can't even, like, it makes me so mad thinking about it. The track, not only is the track void of anything interesting happening, with the widest roads and the turns imaginable, but it's just so dull in scenery. How do you make Tokyo look boring? Ain't y'all live over there? Nothing burger of a map. And it's made worse that there's 13 other tracks that do what it's supposed to be doing, but miles better. Anyway, for the most part, I'm okay with tour tracks. There's definitely a few gems, you know, like I said, Madrid and Singapore. Want to give a shout out to Bangkok Rush as well, mainly because, you know, my good friend Sarah loves it so much. One of her favorite tracks in 8, and I don't blame her, honestly. This track genuinely just has a really lot of fun and cool set pieces, like the boats, the parking garage, the tent bouncing. It just also has a lot of split pads and inner turns along with a gliding segment that's really scenic. It does a lot right. But yeah, overall, it's pretty 50-50 on if they're good or not, which I think turns most people away from them, because it's like all you really need is maybe 2 of them and then you're set. As for the other tracks, Delfino Square and Toad Harbor are 2 tracks that vibes max the most. Being a relaxing city town area near the open waters where it's bustling with life puts me in a good mood just thinking about it, and both these tracks are very well designed, with tons of alternate paths between buildings and neat shortcuts, definitely starring shows in their Origin Games track binding. Traffic-based tracks are always just inherently fun because dodging cars is a fun gimmick, and the way you interact with other racers and items between the cars causes for some of the most chaotic races ever. There's also Crown City, which I fucking hate Crown City. For some reason, it feels like they designed this for free roam first, and then kind of just slapped the racetrack on it. There's a lot of big, open, wide, empty roads with very little traffic, to the point where I'm bored as shit by the time we hit the second lap. And the final lap is just fucking AIDS. Not only is it just kind of whatever final section set piece wise, it's just more road, but the final stretch is just one big straightaway, like it's a fucking Sonic Crossroads track, where if you're even in the back, say goodbye to any last second comeback, even though there are extra items right before it. It goes from boring to downright frustrating. I don't get why so many people dick on tour tracks and then proceed to gas their shit up. Fuck this map. I put Desert Hills above this. Anyway, there's one track I didn't really touch upon, and that's Neo Bowser City, which is easily my favorite track of the bunch. First of all, let's talk about its theming. This is one of the best tracks in the series to do theming. First off, being in a futuristic neon city is just such a breathtaking experience. You mix that in with some dystopian colors, just constant rain pour. It is one of the most beautiful settings in any Mario Kart game. And then you make it Bowser themed, and we know Bowser is the GOAT, so that just adds even more. It really makes you feel like Bowser just runs the goddamn place, and that's why it's so dystopian. It's so like devoid of life, but at the same time, it feels like it has so much life. I don't know how to explain it, but I love this track so much aesthetically. I can look at it for hours. I wish this was the track we can free roam. In terms of gameplay, I can see why people wouldn't like this one, because either one, they're bad like Jack, or two, find it that intriguing because most of it is just, you know, kind of roads and turns. But I don't know, I think this course is just a test of how well you can drive, because of there's so many sharp turns, so many narrow areas, especially the S turns. Being able to know how to drift and take your lines really well is more crucial than ever when you're playing this course in both games, it seems, honestly. Drifting around corners in the rain while you're trying to keep a hold of your traction, some of the most fun and challenging stuff in the series. I wish more tracks had this because, you know, I mean, Mario Kart's a baby game, we all know this, but when it comes to more modern day track design, we don't really get difficulty like this as much as I would like. So having a track that really punishes you for not knowing how to drift well and stuff, I think is just really awesome. I think item usage here is great too, because again, how narrow it is. Like, the races get really chaotic, really intense. You have a big shortcut on the final turn in case you need to catch back up a few places, but the actual layout is just so good itself that I don't think it needs any hazard. In fact, I think adding even more gimmicks would probably make it a lot worse and way more annoying. So it's genuinely a track that I always look forward to playing on because of both its theme and just how fun it is, I don't know, just to race on. And that is actually the track I want. So Neo Bowser haters, I see y'all. Fuck you. Neo Bowser haters when they actually have to play a good track. Overall, mostly S, A's, and B's. Jackie here, it's just really funny. To be honest, I don't even blame y'all. This is really funny seeing you guys down there. I don't know. Mountain courses are up next. We got Chocolate Mountain from 64, DK Mountain from Double Dash, Rock Mountain from 7, Shy Guy Falls from 8, and Whistle Stop Summit from World. Insanely stacked lineup. Mountains are really cool. They were always one of my favorite level themes in Mario games, solely because you had to basically climb through a lot of the levels or just do some really funky and weird platforming, like hanging off ledges. And in general, this is where like the games really started to increasingly quality and difficulty. And I think this theme is done really well in the Mario Kart series. DK Mountain is my personal favorite of the 5, as I mentioned with the snow and the ice section. I love courses where you can get shot up through a cannon and make your way back down, and this is literally the grandfather of that. And on top of that, the track has the actual mountain itself, which is really fun, especially the little shortcuts they added in 8. Has some extremely sharp turns when you're going into the little jungle area, and then the bridge, which is one of the best set pieces of any Mario Kart track. This bridge will kill your whole family, bro. No mercy on this damn bridge. Whistle Stop, Rock, and Shy Guy Falls are great maps as well. You know what the weird thing is that each of these 3 courses really show you how well the new mechanics of each of their debuted games can be really pushed. Like Rock Mountain has some of the best, if not the best, usage of gliding in 7 due to how much airtime you get, and you feel like you're soaring like an eagle. Shy Guy Falls has the best usage of anti-gravity because of the spectacle of going up and down the waterfall. It makes perfect sense to do it here. And Whistle Stop Summit uses the rail grinding mechanic in a theme where it fits perfectly, that being a train station in the mountains. And not only do these 3 tracks represent the mechanics and use their themes really well because of it, they're just fun to play on. As for Chocolate Mountain, this is the weirdest of the bunch. I've always liked the look of Chocolate Mountain, even if it was just brown. I think the fog really sold in how high up you were, and it felt like a dangerous trek through the mountains of chocolate. This is due to the boulders as well. As we all know, the course returned in World with a whole different tone shift. Weirdos like Polo will hate this course for being too industrialized, not being Choco Mountain. Which, like, yeah, fair enough. But after a pretty faithful remake in the Booster Course pass, I'm more than okay with them switching up the formula. And I, as well as Jolene, think they did a great job here. I love the whole Charge and Chuck Monster Truck Stadium theming. It feels intense here. There's Charge and Chucks that are trying to get you at every corner, so the big ass boulders actually look like chocolate now. It's also in the shape of a monster truck. Jolene, I think that's really cool. Don't you agree? I know you think that's really cool too. The gameplay itself has shifted a lot. You know, Chocolate Mountain was never one to focus on big shortcuts because of the new because of the new redesign, you have a shit ton of them, and that's kind of a double-edged sword. Like, let's say one day Jolene was like, let me play on my favorite map, but everyone used this big shortcut towards the end, and Jolene was like, fuck you, Choco Mountain, but then quickly felt bad, hugged it out, and said, I'm sorry, BBG, I would never hurt you like that again. As much as I do have fun doing these big shortcuts at the end. Oh, it's a little overpowered, I won't lie. And it kind of determines the race, which it's good for you, but is it good to go against? It's a little corny. But that being said though, I and Jolene think this is still the most fun Chocolate Mountain to this day. I love how the charger trucks acts as hazards. Love how much more difficult the track is. Way more trick opportunities compared to the 8 version as well. While it doesn't use a whole lot of new mechanics, it's got enough going for it in raw track design that I always find myself wanting to come back to it. Like, you know, when me and Jolene went to the 9 Inch Nails concert to listen to a cover of Shape of You, because I don't know why they did that, but like, sometimes musicians do strange things for money. But they started playing this banger. Needless to say, I love the remix as well. DK Mountain is still the GOAT, and it still wins out of all the tracks. But I gotta say, you could have picked any one of these 5, and I would totally understand. As for the tiers, British people really think they deserve an opinion. Like, it's so crazy to me. Like. Coming in 6th place, we have the Lava Bowser Castle category. This is basically just all the Bowser Castle tracks across the series, Grumble Volcano, and Dry Bones Burnout. I'm gonna keep this one quick. The Bowser Castle tracks always slap. They usually go for 2 things, either being atmospheric and eerie like 64 Double Dashes, or being really bombastic like 8 in World. I love both ways on how they handle this track archetype, although I do wish we could see another eerie and creepy Bowser's Castle in the modern day. They've always been more bombastic lately. It's not a bad thing. I mean, in general, they kind of steer Bowser away from that sort of thing, so it makes sense. But maybe if they ever remade N64 or GameCube Bowser Castle in the modern era, which is wishful thinking, we can see something like this. My favorite Bowser's Castle is World overall though. I think that is genuinely a phenomenal track, and it's made my way into my top 3 tracks of all time. It's extremely fast paced, it's difficult, the shortcuts are quite literally some of the most insane in the game. It's got the big spectacle to a T. It uses speed to make the track harder as the road narrows down. It's got great hazards, some of the most fun turns. Like I love playing on this track so much. I can't think of a single flaw other than maybe it's a little too short for Bowser's Castle, but I'm really stretching it there. But even then, most Bowser Castles are just genuinely great. They always have tons of hazards and difficult layouts, as they should. It's the track right before Rainbow Road most of the time. So even though it's a track theme that always comes back every game, it's one that usually never disappoints, and I'm usually looking forward to these more than Rainbow Roads, honestly. As for the 2 lava tracks, Rumble and Burnout are actually the only 2 other like lava-based tracks, which is kind of weird to think about, but these tracks are both phenomenal. Grumble is just intense with the track crumbling at every lap, which makes it really fun. I do wish the gimmick was used a little bit better, because I think like the crumbling is really cool. It happens in places where it doesn't really matter. I would want to have it in the center where everything is happening, so you have to like barely squeeze by between other racers and falling off. I think that would have made the track a lot more difficult, a lot more fun. That being said, it still has a fun layout, and the gimmick is still cool. So it's fine the way it is. I just hope if it gets remade again, they can really expand on it. As for Dry Bones Burnout, I have no quarrels with this track whatsoever. In a game where 24 players can get really hectic, a track that just has constant split paths the whole time, genius track design for this type of game. And I mean, I love playing on this track. You never take the same path, which adds to the replayability. The theme is perfect. The music is one of the best in the world. I have no problems with this. It has everything, really. And I know I just made Chessman mad right now. Yep, I know you're fuming right now, boy. All in all, this is an S tier category. I can't say much negatives about this. Both gameplay and a theming perspective, fantastic. The favorites are both 8 and World's Bowser's Castle. I respect the hell out of it. I love both of them. As for the tiers, everybody pointing left at the Subnautica fans in C tier. Like, what? Like, oh my god, bro. Y'all want to be different. It's so bad. Like, how do you look at this peak lineup and say, oh, it's just okay? Not how you know not to trust people like that. Top 5 kicks off with Sky Tracks. We have Sky Garden from Super Circuit, Airship Fortress from DS, Swamp Ruins and Cloud Top from 8, Sky Sunday from Tour, and Great Block Ruins from World. Another very stacked lineup, if I do say so. They say the sky is the limit, and that is very true here. Sky Garden and Cloud Top Cruise did typical Jack and the Beanstalk stuff. I will say in Cloud Top they nailed it perfectly. I always think of this track as like telling a story. You start adventuring through the clouds, infiltrate Bowser's airship, battle through the stormy clouds, where you have to like dodge the lightning narrowly by hitting the speed boost, and then come out on top with a beautiful glide back down. It's just so cool. The way how it progresses, the track getting more difficult as you go on as well. It's just a ton of fun. Speaking of airships, Airship Fortress, an all-timer, obviously. One of the dopest ideas for a Mario Kart track. In World, I think they make this course feel complete. This is like an active war zone, and a lot of what they added, like the bullet bill makers, when you go inside, really adds to it. It's a track loaded with different hazards. I love the fire bars because you can barely hop between them. That shit gets my blood pumping. The tower part is the weakest, I'd say, but it's still fun. It could just be a little toxic and a bit too claustrophobic in World. Some fun to be had in the chaos, though. They definitely nailed it with this track in every game it's appeared in, and I think World does it best because I'm not gonna lie, I just really like the rail grinding on this track. It's fairly easy, but still one of the most satisfying to pull off when you jump from one side to the other on the turn before entering the airship. I'm glad this track was saved here and not 8, because even though it's probably the most faithful retro track in World, the rails keep it fresh and exciting. And then you have Great Block Ruins, Sky High Sunday, beautiful maps that use World's mechanics beautifully. Great Block Ruins hides shortcuts and alternate paths so well. It kind of complements the theme of it because, you know, hidden blocks exist and this is more of a hidden, abandoned sky temple. And like even like 4 of the 5 months of the game, I was still discovering some shit I never knew was there before, which is really sick. Shortcut is iconic and really fun, and the layout itself is very difficult. You got to put on the big point pans for some of these turns, man. Over time, I'd say the map has gone down for me. I would say upon first month, I probably put it top 5. Now, it's probably just outside my top 10, but I still love the map nonetheless. It's mostly just because there's some design choices here that have me puzzled, like the last glider is kind of a lame way to end the track, but all in all, I still love this map, and the theme is just top notch too. And Sky High Sunday is great in World, and I'm gonna be honest, I was always in the defense that in 8 it wasn't as bad as people made it out to be. Not good or anything, but like I wouldn't say it's like F tier or even D tier bad, you know? But when you play this version of Sky High, it's like, what were they cooking in 8, bro? Like, it's basically Wario Stadium 64, where people just are gonna associate the track with its World version rather than its original version. I mean, if you told me that Sky High Sunday would have some of the most diverging paths, most fun gameplay, and some of the coolest trick mechanics in World, I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about, Jesse? The upgrade this track got is just so insane. Like, not even the gameplay just being better, because I mean, obviously it is. Like, it's way better. It looks so much better visually as well. The colors just, I liked how they popped out in 8, but you know, obviously a little too saturated. But here, I think it's very colorful without blinding me half the time. And that's all you can really ask for. Big redemption arc for this one. So yeah, are you really surprised to see Sky Tracks here? I mean, it has, all of these have great theming and how it's used, and these tracks just are extremely high quality in general. And I have no doubt that Sky Tracks will keep cooking, as Sky levels are always some of my favorites in general in Mario. I chose Airship Fortress. Honestly, can't even say about these things, although like Sky Garden, bit of an odd pick. I'm actually surprised Chespin didn't choose Sky Garden, the way he'd be obsessed with it. Yeah, I don't know, like it's not a bad course at all, but like I feel like everything that other people play here, I feel like just kind of outclasses it by a noticeable margin. Probably just, you know, you're already in the video, like you could stop pretending to be hurt by something and just put this in S tier or at least A. Stop hating on Peak for fun. Crossover tracks, woohoo! We got the woohoo tracks from 7, Excite Bike, Animal Crossing, and Hyrule Circuit, and both the F-Zero tracks from 8, Yoshi's Island from Tour. So I have a hot take that will get me like this, but hear me out. I'm not that big on crossovers. I think it's cool that we got these to rep other franchises, but a lot of them don't interest me. I don't give 2 shits about Animal Crossing, and I also just hate playing that goddamn track, so that's not one I'm particularly a big fan of or blowing hype over. Hyrule Circuit is just really lame as a crossover, only reskinning Mario enemies look like Zelda enemies, and it just feel like Castle and Grassland assets minus the Master Sword thing. And then Excite Bike sucks too, because it kind of has to stick to a layout like this to truly represent the game. And it's like, man, that's just an oval with jumps, like, it's just not cool, you know? I think my main issue with these is that they focus way too much on trying to put references, background details, and then when it comes to track design, they just don't keep that at the same level. Prime example is this Yoshi's Island, in my opinion. The background, all the details, is seriously really fucking awesome. It's just serviced by a layout that I don't think is all that great. The only real interesting part being the cloud to unlock the shortcut, but like the rest of the track, I mean, it's good, but I don't really think it does enough to warrant higher than a B for me. The Woohoo tracks are also very overrated in my opinion, especially Woohoo Loop. They do a good job of showing you Woohoo Island, and I think they use this section-based lap design decently well. But did there really need to be 2 of them? And not only that, but there's also a couple of stretches in both of them where it feels like not much is really happening, and I kind of get a little bored. This is more of an issue with a loop since you're following a single road the whole time. And while it does have cars, you could definitely use a little more. The only crossover tracks I think did near perfectly are the F-Zero maps, which I would have been shocked if they fucked these up. Since F-Zero is a speedy, fast racer, they obviously have to replicate that, and they replicated it extremely well. Both these tracks offer a ton of speed with every section, with Big Blue having different methods allowing you to get speed like the rushing water. I prefer Mute City to Big Blue because Mute City is more consistent. There isn't really a section I dislike in this track, whereas Big Blue, the last lap kinda sucks, but the rest of Big Blue is peak. And both these tracks look sick as fuck as well, especially Mute City. So yeah, all in all, F-Zero tracks are good because you go fast and fast equals fun. Yoshi's Islands wins was unexpected but disappointed. Maybe that's just because I fucking hate Yoshi, but like come on man, F-Zero tracks, what was like, wash that fraud. Overall I put in B after all that ranting because even though like I did have my quarrels with it, I still like some of the stuff here, so I'd probably leave it in B. Barely missing the S tier is the Rainbow Road. Now for Rainbow Roads, I'm going to do something special and rank them all from worst to best. Rainbow Roads have two jobs, either being a big spectacle or being a final test in difficulty. Now I love both methods of making Rainbow Roads. I don't really have a preferred way of how they do it. What I can say is that 8's Rainbow Road is by far the worst we've ever had. I hated it back in 2014, needless to say almost 12 years later, I still hate it just as much. I think the space station location can work to make a really cool track, but the overall aesthetic in combination with Rainbow Road just doesn't appeal to me. It'd be cool if we could explore space station and like the big ass blooper shuttle, like that'd be kind of dope, but since it has to be a Rainbow Road, you can't really like, they didn't, I guess they didn't want to like go to the lengths of doing that, and they just kind of wanted to stick to Rainbow Road, which ends up not only being a wasted use in theming, but just being a kind of a soulless Rainbow Road if we're gonna be honest. And the layout sucks. I fucking hate playing on this track. Never have, and I don't think I ever will. In 8th place we have the Double Dash Rainbow Road. First kind of hot take here, but I think aesthetically it's great. You have the big city down below, which is Mushroom City, and you got a bunch of items floating in the sky, kind of resemblance to OG N64 Rainbow Road, but the gameplay is whack. There's like this one turn that'll kick you in the nards, and then the rest of the track is honk me. I fucking hate this design because by the time I get to the part I have to lock in for, I'm just mind-numbingly bored from the rest of it. It's like, I can't lock in, then I fall off, then I'm frustrated, then once I get past it, I'm just bored again. It's like, who enjoys this? Like, come on. It's better than 8 because, you know, at least it nailed the spectacle, and there's like one engaging turn, which is better than 8 does, so sure man, it'll be above it. In 7th place, this will probably get me torched alive, but you know what? I will defend myself. World's Rainbow Road is not that good. I do want to say that I do like it, and this is the start of like the good Rainbow Roads, but Christ, it has so many flaws. Spectacle wise, best in the series. It's got so many sections that feels unique and different from each other. They all serve their purpose well on a visual front. Feels magical, some parts feels adventurous. It just feels like the grand finale that a Mario Kart Rainbow Road should feel. And the music, you see why I'm playing this music constantly in the background the whole thing. It's because it's easily the best. But as a racetrack, I just can't get behind it that much. The main issue is that it's way too long. Even though there's stuff to do, 5 minutes is always just going to be a ridiculously long time to complete a track, and as I said, Mario Kart's main strength is the replayability, which this track does not have. I can't play this track more than once without getting sick of it, within like the span of like 2 hours. And also, there just really isn't enough here to make up how long it is. Very limited usage on walls and rails, which is stupid because it's the final track. There should be a final test of using the game's core new mechanic. The water section is boring, and a lot of the track is just holding straight, and while you do get a lot of speed up parts, it just doesn't feel as engaging as I want it to be. The only part I enjoy is the space station because you're actively making harsh turns and dodging the thumps while having that increased speed. And I'm like, why can't the whole track, or like at least more parts of the track, be like this? Have the same level of difficulty. I still like it. I'm not against playing it, but this might be like top 3, maybe even the most overrated track in the series. In 6th, we have SNES Rainbow Road. If you didn't hate me for putting World Rainbow Road in bottom 3, you're gonna hate me even more for putting the OG above it. I feel off that hate anyway. Anyway, SNES Rainbow Road is just fun. I think its best appearance is definitely an 8, where you can use the Thompson trick off the road. Love how it looks as well. I mean, you could do that in 7, but I feel like an 8, it just feels more satisfying. The turns are fun, there's plenty of places to fall off, making it one of the more challenging ones. Just a very solid track all around. Right in the smack dab middle, we have N64 Rainbow Road. I'm going to talk about the 8 version specifically, because if you're talking about the original, it would definitely be bottom 2. I will say, even though the gameplay is on the simple side, it's still really fun, but I think they absolutely nail the atmosphere here. It's got the big city down below, the train dropping coins, and the gold edges along the road itself. This is the best looking track 8 has to offer, and it's just really fun as well. It's a true finale compared to the other Rainbow Road at least. In 4th place, we have DS Rainbow Road. A lot of people say this is the worst Rainbow Road, or like one of the worst Rainbow Roads, and while I could definitely get that, if there was one track that nostalgia, personal feelings will kind of sway my influence on, it's probably DS Rainbow Road. Of all the DS tracks, I spent the most hours on this one. Played it the most as a kid. It just holds a special place in my heart. I think the loop-de-loops are fun. I really like the layout of it. I think some parts are challenging. I think the music is great. Like, it makes me happy. And if something makes you happy, of course you're gonna want to rank it high. Even though I know gameplay-wise, it's not the most interesting Rainbow Road. I want a remake of it one day. But yeah, I don't know. This one has always just had a special place in my heart. Top 3. Oh boy. GBA Rainbow Road. Yeah, a lot of you guys do not know ball like I do. You might be thinking, how did GBA Rainbow Road not get bottom 2? This Rainbow Road is fire as fuck. Even just visually, like, I know it's GBA, so like none of this shit is too crazy, but I love how I love how it feels and looks. It looks beautiful for a GBA game. You know, especially when you have the Paper Mario Bowser's Castle in the background, and the track layout is just really fun because of these bouncy sides. You get to pull off like these insane shortcuts, and it's like watching speedruns of this track, actually performing some of these shortcuts, some of the most satisfying things you could do in any Mario Kart game. Seriously, it's that good. And I mean, like the layout itself is already just really good. You add that, and the replayability factor on this track is so much higher than pretty much any other Rainbow Road in the series. I think this has the best replayability, to be honest, just because of all the crazy wacky shit you can do. You can really explore what to do with these bouncy sides. I would love to see a remake of this track one day. I don't know if it's ever gonna replicate that same magic that made the original so good, but I have no doubt they'll make it pretty fire. Anyway, my top 2 Rainbow Roads, they're Wii and 7, Fort Crown and Kitchen. I'm going with Wii in number 2. I think Wii, of all the Rainbow Roads, I think it has the best balance of difficulty and spectacle. The spectacle is fantastic. Obviously, they reference Galaxy a lot, and then you can see the Earth down below, but I think it has that spectacle you want, and it has that difficulty you want in a Rainbow Road. I think overall the track is just really fun. I don't need to explain why Wii Rainbow Road is good. And number 1, Mario Kart 7's. I think 7's Rainbow Road, I know it's not the most difficult. It has a lot of interactive gameplay elements, and the planetary adventure is always one that's just gonna be super magical to me, and I would love to replicate the feeling of playing 7 Rainbow Road for the first time and really going through it while listening to the music in the background that's all emotional and stuff. Like, each section has something for you to do constantly, and like I said, even though it's not the most difficult, it always keeps you engaged with something which World doesn't do. Hence why I still think this is superior to World's Rainbow Road, just solely for the fact that it doesn't last as long. You still have so much more to do than you could ever do in World. 7 Rainbow Roads to go, it won. If you love Double Dash Rainbow Road, you're a fucking freak, and there's no hope for you, genuinely. And overall, about what I expected from a tier, like it's mostly just S and A's. And the only reason why I didn't even get into S is because the 4 people in B tier, y'all fucked it up. So. Kicking off the small S tier, we have the forest tracks. We have Maple True 8 from Wii, Wildwoods from 8, and then Acorn Hints and Dandelion Depths from World. I'm gonna keep this one brief since there's only 4 tracks here. It's not hard to see why Forest got ranked high. In general, the theme is just something that people are attached to a lot because it's you know, it's just relaxing, it's calming, it's beautiful. It puts you at ease most of the time, just like what most of nature does anyway. Nature is a beautiful thing. What I like about the tracks in Mario Kart is that, like, Wildwoods and Acorn Heights, they kind of have, you know, similar visuals and similar ideas, like, you know, giant tree, wooded area. The difference is that Wildwoods is more like Shy Guys and Toads living in harmony. It's like a people village that they kind of built themselves and lives in the trees, and I think that's just really awesome. Whereas Acorn Heights is more based on the wildlife that lives there, like the sting bees and the wigglers. So they both contrast to each other really nicely in that department. In terms of racetrack, Wildwoods destroys Acorn Heights. It's not even close. Acorn Heights is fucking ass. I can't stand that map. I liked it when I first played it, but that ending is genuinely so bad. It might be the worst ending next to Peach Beach in the entire game. Fucking hate that ending. And the rest of the track, I mean, it's fine, but like nothing too interesting. So, and Wildwoods is just pretty solid. I was never that big on it, but I think in recent times it's really grown on me a lot. It's fun, it's fast paced. I wish you could explore the village a little bit more, but other than that, but obviously we know the star of the show is Maple Treeway. I love autumn aesthetics. Like fall is definitely my favorite season. So having a track based on that, it looks so gorgeous. Even in the booster passes and more cartoony art style, I think they did this one justice. When I first heard the music in 8, I think it was the only time I genuinely cried while listening to music, which is weird because it's just video game music. But I don't know, the music in 8 specifically just makes me emotional. In terms of the actual layout, I think it's just got everything you want. It's tons of tight turns, the hazards and wigglers. It's got a fun leaf pile gimmick where you have to hit mushrooms. It's got a lot of fun jumps. It's got half heights to gain a bunch of extra items. I mean, and even though it's a bit on the longer side, it never really feels that long because you're always constantly doing something. All in all, I mean, I just love this track. I think this is my favorite track in the whole series. Anyways, that's it. Maple Treeway wins, of course, and then Wild's coming in second. Acorn and Dandelion getting 1 vote each. Oh, I didn't cover Dandelion. I mean, who got? Anyway, in terms of the tiers, yeah, as you can see, I mean, most people put this in S and A. Moria and Blonde, I don't have the energy to make fun of people no more, man. Just like, that's fine. At number 1, we have the man-made, industrial, just miscellaneous category tracks, which is Ribbon Road from Super Circuit and Baby Park and Daisy Cruiser from Double Dash, Waluigi Pinball and TikTok Clock from DS, Toad's Factory, Coconut Mall and Wario's Gold Mine from Wii, Music Park from 7, Sunshine Airport, Electro Drum and Dragon Driftway and Super Bell Subway from 8, Ninja Hideaway from Tour, and DK Spaceport from World. So it's not really hard to see why this got number 1. In general, this is where Mario Kart truly shines when it comes to theming. I mean, when they do shit like this, it's just some of the coolest things you can imagine. Like a pinball table Waluigi themed. You drive on a cruise ship on a toy playset. A Toad-owned factory where they make item boxes. Like just the ideas they come up with, where they really let their creative minds truly shine here. And a lot of these tracks, I mean, they're just some of the highest praised track in the series. My personal favorite here is Music Park. I just like music themed stages and music themed anything. Driving on pianos, you drive on tambourines. You got the musical notes bouncing left and right. I love these little fucking chuds. I shouldn't say little, they're definitely not little, but I love the way you interact with them. Like this track, if there's a track that just was just good vibes, it just made you always in a good mood, it's definitely this one. And I think the visual upgrade it got in 8 specifically, oh my god, man. Such a cool track that has a track layout to perfectly go with it, honestly. But yeah, honestly, like all things considered, this is like just a stacked lineup of tracks. So is it hard to see why it won? Everybody loves Waluigi Pinball, everybody loves Toad's Factory, everybody loves Coconut Mall, most people love Daisy's Cruiser, Ribbon Road, DK Spaceport's probably one of the bigger fan favorites in the world. Super Bell Subway, I know Jolene and Garrett, y'all are fuming that this is part of number 1, but listen, when are y'all just gonna admit that Super Bell Subway is kind of the GOAT? You have constantly 2 trains coming at you. You have a bunch of split paths, fantastic music, amazing touches to detail. Like, what is there to hate about this track? Y'all just, oh my god, y'all just don't like anything. Like, there is obviously a few duds here, like Ninja Hideaway can go to this 9th layer of hell, as far as I'm aware. And Baby Park, don't even get me started on that. Toad's Factory wins the good Fork Found Kitchen, it's a weak track. But, I mean, it definitely deserves the win though, 100%. And then as for the rankings, it's mostly S tier. This fucking chest spin. Oh, that's gotta be embarrassing for you, brother. I'm gonna be honest. Ooh, that's not a good look at all, man. And well, that's it. That's the whole list. And well, I'm not gonna end outro, so roll the credits.